And welcome back to the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us. Going to watch some great baseball today between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Pittsburgh Pirates, who've gotten off to some of the hottest starts across Major League Baseball. It's going to be Javi Guerra going for the Rays. It's going to be Contreras going for the Pirates. First pitch to Brian Hayes. Looks like it's right down the middle, strike one. So let's get started. That one misses low, and it's 1-1. Appreciate you guys joining us once again. In case you guys are unfamiliar with us, we are the Upside Sports Network. We cover all four major sports here in the U.S. We cover Major League Baseball, basketball, we cover some hockey as well, and the NFL. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Now, the Rays, of course, got off to that ridiculous start to begin the season, and they've certainly fallen off as far as their rotation is concerned anyway since the middle of April. The first few weeks of the season anyway, they ranked right at the first, second, or third in pretty much every major statistical category, and that's when they were going on their major unbeaten streak to begin the season. However, over the last couple of weeks, they've come back to earth. Right now, they're about middle of the pack with their rotation. They just brought in Javi Guerra in a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers. He gets the start right now for them, so we'll see how long he goes in this one for his new team. 2-2 is the count now. The set by Guerra, and the pitch. Up and in, 3-2. Now for the Tampa Bay Rays, it's all about getting their pitching back on track as far as I'm concerned for them. Sure, they got off to that great start, but you're going to need more than a great start for a 162-game season. I mean, we all thought they would be a good team. Nobody thought they'd be a great team. And for the first couple weeks, at least they were overplaying what we thought was their potential. Of course, their schedule could not have been much easier to come out of the gate as well. So maybe this is more of what the true representation of what the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be. But on the other side of things, the Pittsburgh Pirates, nobody thought they would have gotten off to this good of a start, and they're just they're nipping at the heels anyway of the Tampa Bay Rays. This one's lifted out down the line and just in foul territory. Manny Margot makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Not a bad hit there, kind of off the end of the bat, slicing away. If he had gotten that a couple more feet higher, then he would have had a chance at a homer, but not exactly known for offense so far over the years anyway in Tampa. But this year, the Tampa Bay Rays certainly have been Well, I should say the last year or so anyway, their numbers have certainly improved offensively. Rangers game is in Arlington, I believe. They're going to have a good one against uh, Zach Gallen for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rangers are going to go with a predominantly right-handed lineup against the lefty. Brian Reynolds digging in. He just got that major contract extension to stay with Pittsburgh. I know we got some Rangers fans because I'm based in Texas, so we do get quite a few Rangers fans wondering about Brian Reynolds. He is not going to be traded anymore. It seems like he has found a home for the long term anyway in Pittsburgh. That one misses low, and it's 2-1. Thought we'd watch some really high quality baseball. Looks like we are going to have an opener in Javi Guerra. Guerra was primarily used as a bullpen piece to begin the season. Had an 8 earned run average with the Milwaukee Brewers. Looks like Fleming is loosening in the bullpen already for the Rays. Imagine he takes over in the second. That pitch so far wide, the catcher didn't even try to catch that one. But and a 5-pitch walk. Reynolds is on first base. McCutchen will be your DH. He's back in Pittsburgh, much like we all thought it should be. I thought he would have been a great addition to this lineup no matter what happened with Brian Reynolds, whether they trade him away and more at-bats open up for younger players and McCutchen, or if they just want to bring in some Pittsburgh royalty and try to get that next phase of Pittsburgh Pirates youngsters coming up through the system working a little bit better. Carlos Santana is your first baseman. He's going to be batting cleanup. Sawinski, pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that, but he's going to be in center. Joe is in right. Castro is your shortstop with Onel Cruz on the IL. Matthias is your second baseman, and Hedges is your catcher. A lot of teams surprising Major League Baseball this year as far as playing a little bit better than might be expected. Then there's a couple teams on the opposite end of that spectrum, looking at the Seattle Mariners, looking at the St. Louis Cardinals, teams that just can't get out of their own way. And the Mariners, I think, are really going to have a tough time kind of treading water right now because I predicted them to have a surefire path to a playoff spot this year. But with the injury to Robbie Ray taking him out for the entire year, I wonder if they're going to need at least one more rotation piece. So I guess it's good on Jerry DiPoto to not trade from their depth at starting pitching, but it seems like they're going to need it all year long. Do you think Gary Sanchez should consider switching positions? Maybe try first base? He just got out of the Giants' contract. I think Gary Sanchez should just... I don't know if he needs to either A, go to catching school and learn how to be a better defensive catcher, because if he can lock down his defense, his bat is decent enough that any team would put him in the lineup. Now, that tells you where catching or where the bat is right now with the catchers across Major League Baseball. Worst percentage of batting average in play anyway. Worst hard hit rate. Worst everything pretty much for all across Major League Baseball catchers. Now, of course, you still have some catchers out there performing very well. Looking at JT Realmuto, right now Jonah Heim for the Texas Rangers is one of the favorites for AL MVP for the early part of the season. No, I don't think he's going to finish there, but I'm just saying there's a couple of good catchers out there, and then there's really not much outside of that. I mean, we're talking about a dearth of talent at the position, a lot of defensive-minded catchers, and in a world where you have a whole bunch of defensive-minded catchers, why am I going to start a guy who is a liability behind the plate? So I get your point, Jose, about him possibly switching positions, but I think he just needs to learn to be a better receiver of the baseball, and he also needs to, not have so many pass balls. I mean, that's the biggest thing for him. I think if he's able to cut down on those, I think they can live with the other mistakes that he makes behind the plate because of what he gives you offensively. Now, as far as switching positions entirely, if he can't solve those deficiencies behind the plate, then moving to first base, I think he'd be a little bit of a liability there as well because their first base is an offense premium position. And that bat that you thought was great behind the plate, now he's learning a new position. That's going to cause his batting average to drop a little bit, you'd think, as he tries to focus on learning and how to play a new position. And so at an offense premium position where his numbers are not competitive with the other top options out there, I don't think Gary Sanchez would have a leg to stand on at first base. So if I'm Gary Sanchez, I try to fine-tune my abilities behind the plate. Looks like that pitch up and in there. McCutchen looks like he tweaked something in his hip. Either way, it's first and second. McCutchen, after visiting with the trainer, is going to stay in the game. I wonder if he's going to continue to stay in the game, though. He is only the designated hitter today, so he's not going to be playing the field, so maybe he's just going to give it a shot. Looks like when he bent out of the way of that last pitch, he kind of might have tweaked something there. But more of the same for the Rays that we've seen the trouble over the last couple of weeks. Trouble with their starting pitching, trouble with their pitching entirely. Carlos Santana digging in, a good professional hitter. This is what you need if you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. You want to see these veterans come through in the clutch and allow those young guys to learn from those players. Carlos Santana, one of the best mentors in the game. So far, he's hitting 276, 2 homers, 16 RBIs. Now, do we think that this is going to be a consistent thing for the Buccos? I don't necessarily buy it. I think they're playing way above their heads, but that's a hard hit ball into center. Couple of steps back and making the catch there. Reynolds bluffs a move to third base. Good strong throw. And it'll be up to Sawinski to keep it going here in the first. Looks like we're going to have a mound visit here early. But Pirates playing good baseball, challenging for one of the best records in all of Major League Baseball right now. But they currently lead in the NL Central. Do I think they'll stay there? Absolutely not. I think their pitching is going to falter. They've had really strong performances on the mound, and that's been kind of their bugaboo the last couple of years, is they haven't really had any good starting pitching. They haven't had much to really go with outside of that. Looks like they're going to go ahead and go to Fleming here early. Quick pitching change already. Guerra, not exactly the most impressive debut for his new team after an early season trade where he saw an 8 earned run average with the Milwaukee Brewers. Doesn't go much better in his debut here for the Rays. But anytime you make a trade with the Rays, other teams fan bases have to be at least a little bit fearful about what they're giving up. What do the Rays see in that player? So not a good debut here, but the Rays always seem to find something that they can use in just about every player. Everybody's heard of the Moneyball thing from Oakland. Kind of the Rays have done the one thing Oakland didn't. Oakland kind of spilled the beans on what their secret sauce was, what was giving them all the success. Tampa never really has. They've gotten a whole bunch of brain power to go out of the building, don't get me wrong. Coaches being hired at other positions, GMs being hired at other spots, but they've never really divulged some of the practices they use in-house. So kind of keep your eyes peeled for what may be around the corner for Tampa Bay. We've seen other teams this year kind of experimenting with different things, looking at the Kansas City Royals, who do not figure to be very effective this year as far as winning games. They've been experimenting with a shift as far as bringing one of their outfielders to kind of still have the shift, if you will, and just kind of deploying their outfield a little bit differently as opposed to an infield shift. It's more of an outfield shift to kind of cut down on the base hits by left-handed sluggers, etc. They're trying to pull the ball all the time, still cutting down on some of those outs, and it's worked to some success, but they've also had some of their issues. Some of the balls that are poked down the left field line, you can get a stand-up triple without even breaking a sweat. I mean, there's some balls that if you get the right batter up there, that you could get an inside-the-park home run with some of the ways they're shifting in Kansas City. So keep your eyes peeled for other teams, kind of pick up on that and see if there's a way that they can adapt it to still cut down on the hard hit ball by the left-handed slugger who's trying to pull the ball, but still not give up, an inside-the-park home run. Fleming gets ball one here, still only 1 out, or excuse me, 2 outs. That one finds the zone. Lefty on lefty here. But let us know in the chat what you guys think about the Pirates having such a great start to their season. Same thing for the Rays. Rays, I think, are clearly starting to come back to the pack already. Sawinski is having a pretty great start to the season. 279 average, 6 homers, over 1,000 OPS. The question will be, can he sustain that? Those are impeccable numbers for a center fielder. If he can even manage an 800 batting average, he'd be doing well. This one's lifted into center. Nope. Looks like it got a little jammed with that one, and it's caught by the shortstop before it can get there. But in either event, we go to the bottom half of the first inning. Appreciate you guys joining us. If you want to go ahead and drop a like, we'd really appreciate that. On the Tampa Bay side of things, you're looking at the lineup here. Yandy Diaz leading things off at first base. Remember, he came over a few years ago from the Cleveland Guardians. Wander Franco is your shortstop. Randy Rosarena has certainly had his playoff moments, World Baseball Classic moments last year, or this offseason anyway, is in left. Lau anyway is at shortstop. Ramirez is your designated hitter. Paredes is third base. Betancourt is your catcher. Margot, we saw make the catch down the line in right. And Siri is in center. You'll notice the batting averages on a lot of those guys right now are a lot higher than, say, some of the other teams out there, and that's part of the reason for their success. Even with their rotation struggling right now, kind of middle of the pack, they're still performing at an above average clip offensively. Just going to check in on some of the standings for you guys. We told you that this was going to be a matchup of some of the better teams in baseball. We saw the Rays get off to that fantastic start. They still sit at 23-6, but they've certainly fallen back a little bit. But their division still seems to be a murderer's row, if you will. Baltimore's played really, really well, and I think they've figured out how to unlock Cedric Mullins this year. He already has something like 12 stolen bases. His career high is 34. He's definitely going to surpass that this year as long as he stays healthy. Toronto Blue Jays were my pick to win this division and honestly to win the American League. And so kind of keep your eyes peeled for what they could do the rest of the way. Boston's kind of treading water so far. I thought they'd have a decent start or a decent season. I thought they'd be, just below 500. Right now they're playing a little bit above that, even with the injuries they suffered before opening day. Harper playing today, I believe so. But the New York Yankees are probably the biggest surprise to be in the cellar right now. They just got lost a series against the Texas Rangers. They lost 3 out of 4. Of course, they lost Aaron Judge in that series as he goes to the injured list. So one of the best players, possibly the best player in all of Major League Baseball, at least offensively, is going to be out for the foreseeable future right now for the Yankees. And they've struggled mightily offensively. With Aaron Judge out of the lineup, it's going to be curious to see how they're going to be able to manufacture some run scoring. And just looking at their record right now, just look at their run differential, only a +1. You could see that drop a little bit now with Aaron Judge out of the lineup. Most of that record was done with Aaron Judge in the lineup. So keep your eyes peeled for how the Yankees are going to be able to rebound without having their best hitter in the lineup. Looks like Contreras is on the mound. That was weird. He stepped off. They called a ball anyway for a pitch clock violation. Anyway, Tatis Jr. is looking fresh after a year and a half off. Yeah, he better be. He was mashing the ball in the minors. Remember, he had that 3 home run game shortly before coming back up to the major league level as he kind of got tuned up anyway before he came back from his suspension. But the Padres, I think, are going to be having a great month of May. Keep your eyes peeled for them to possibly take a nice swing in that standings right now. We saw the Diamondbacks had the lead in that division a couple of days ago. I think the Dodgers are right there right now. We'll get to that in just a moment. That pitch misses just a little high, and it's 3-1 now. But that's kind of your standings in the AL East and the Central. Twins look like they're going to probably take this division as it stands right now, 17-12, and they've got some great starting pitching right now with Pablo Lopez. But of course, Tyler Mahle is not going to be there for the next month. He's been shut down for a month to see if they're able to get some healing going on with his arm. So we'll see how things are going with him. The only team I see holding a candle to the Twins this year is the Cleveland Guardians. They're a game under 500, but their core is very solid. The question for them is, are they going to be able to stay healthy enough? They already are going to miss Tristan McKenzie. They've already missed him for a month. They're still going to miss him for another month. And if their starting pitching can stay healthy enough, or if they can get enough good performances out of their fill-ins, then maybe they could at least give a little bit of a threat to the Twins. But as it stands right now, it looks like the Twins are going to be your AL Central champions. A team that we all thought was going to be very good this year, coming back, having a bounce-back year. Looks like that ball is fouled right off the catcher's inside of his thigh. Tough break there for their catcher. But a runner on first here with Contreras. Franco hitting 300, 5 homers, 17 RBIs, and 900 OPS. As you see, the Braves take a 1-0 lead. But the White Sox have been one of the most disappointing teams as well in Major League Baseball. They made 11, count them, 11 roster moves today. They brought in a couple of guys off the IL. They designated Jake Diekman for assignment. Oscar Colas, who broke camp with them, had a nice debut as well, is mired in a 5-for-40 slump right now, so they're sending him down to the minors to try to work on a few things, build his confidence back up. But this is a team that's got to right the ship right now. Otherwise, we could see them sell some absolutely major pieces as they turn a double play for Pittsburgh. Nice pitching there by Contreras. Franco grounds into the double play. But the White Sox could be a team that could trade some major pieces. This offseason, we're talking about them being right at the limit financially for what they could do. And if they're going to be, 14 games, 13 games under 500 a month into the season, who knows what's going to ultimately end up happening for them. I have not seen that yet for Acuna anyway, but we'll get into that in just a moment. But for the White Sox, Liam Hendriks has been was diagnosed with I want to say it was leukemia, but anyway, he got cleared of that recently, and so he's going to be starting to build up his pitch count again, see if he can kind of go through extended spring training, if you will. So maybe that could be a shot in the arm as well for the White Sox. But this is a team that's really got to get on the winning path right now. Rosarena grounds out to first base with Contreras covering, and that's the third out of the inning. Quick inning there for the Tampa Bay Rays. We go to the second. 0-0 our score. But the White Sox, other pieces that could be surprises for all of you out there that they could move, looking at Luis Robert. Looking at a guy like that, he has the talent to put all of it. If he's able to put it all together and stay healthy, he's an on-base threat. He can steal a whole bunch of bases. He has the power. He has the ability to, the bat-to-ball skills to be able to hit for a high average. He could command a healthy trade package if the White Sox were to sell some of their higher-level pieces at the trade deadline. If they're able, or if they still want to hang on to him, they still have a plethora of good options to trade here at the deadline if they're not able to right the ship. Looking at their starting rotation, Lance Lynn, I'm sure a number of teams would be interested in his arm. Looking at Mike Clevenger, if he's able to stay healthy and perform at a high enough level, another guy that keep your eyes out for. The bullpen, they've had a number of good options in years past. Now, they've certainly had their poor performances to start the season out of that bullpen. But relievers are kind of mercurial. One year they're very good, one year they're very bad. They're good in one spot, bad in another. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. You just got to find the right guy and hope it clicks with your team. So if you're needing some bullpen help around the trade deadline, the White Sox might be a team for you. Out in the AL West, the surprise for everybody is that the Texas Rangers are on top. Even for me, a Texas Rangers fan, I'm surprised at how good of a start. Tied for the second best record through 28 games in Rangers history, 17 wins and 11 losses. The only time they did better in this was 1989 when they won 18 games. The other time where they tied for 17 games, I believe, was 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, right after their World Series years. But in either event, the Rangers are off to a great start. Jacob deGrom, of course, is now going on to the IL. But it looks like this is more of a precautionary thing. He had some some stiffness, if you will, a couple of starts ago against the Kansas City Royals. They pulled him out after 3 2/3. Dominant performance there. He didn't miss a start after that one, though. He came right back out. The next start was flawless for that one. But the next time out, he had a little bit of an inflammation in that right elbow. So he's going to miss at least a little bit of time as they're going to try to be cautious with him. Everybody likes to point to Jacob deGrom and say, hey, everything's got to be running right for him. I think the Rangers would rather make sure everything's running right for him, especially with the money they gave him. And the team's rolling right now. Offensively, they're performing way above their heads. Looks like Fleming is back out there again. 1-1 now. Make it 2-1 on the hitter. But the Rangers have certainly gotten off to a great start. Their last 10 games, they're 5-5. They got swept by the Cincinnati Reds. A little bit of surprise there. They got walked off in all 3 games. Bullpen absolutely imploded on them, but their bullpen has performed well, surprisingly well to start the season outside of that series and outside of one game to the Oakland A's. But their bullpen has performed well. I still think they need a back-end closer. That team just needs some roles defined in that bullpen a little bit better. They have the issues that they're having right now is that their closer that they were going to go with, Jose Leclerc, hasn't been able to find the strike zone often enough. And when you're the closer, you have to be able to throw strikes. That's one thing Mike Maddox is absolutely adamant about with being their pitching coach as they get the ground out there to second base. Castro digging in anyway. He's the fill-in right now for O'Neal Cruz, hitting .286 on the year. 3 homers, 12 RBIs. Great production. This one, first ball swinging, grounds it to Franco, bobbles it, and I mean just, gets him 2 outs quickly here in the second. It'll be up to Matthias, who came over from the Rangers in a preseason trade anyway. But the Rangers have gotten off to that great start. Now, offensively, the things that they need, I still think they need a middle-of-the-order bat. That's what ownership promised the Texas Rangers fans before the season, and they never delivered on that, so we'll see if they're able to do that. as we get closer to the deadline. Maybe they find a candidate that they like a little bit better. Free agency is going to be absolutely terrible to try to go after a hitter this offseason, so maybe they go out there and try to get one at the trade deadline. They have a plethora of starting pitching at the AAA level right now that they can move. Fleming, a nice behind-the-back stab on that one, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the second, 0-0 the score. But the Rangers have gotten some great production out of some surprising places, and all of this has been with Corey Seager on the injured list for 3 weeks now. He's expected to be back at some point in the middle of May. I imagine they're going to be a little bit cautious with him. They don't want to have him re-injure this thing over and over and over again, so I imagine they'll take their time with him. But they've gotten great production out of Ezekiel Duran, surprisingly, over the last couple of days. He hit the monster 2-run home run to win the game for the Rangers against the Yankees on Saturday. But they got some great production out of him. Now, the Astros have had a little bit of an up-and-down start to their season. Started out pretty well, fell into a little bit of a swoon, and then immediately came right back and got the sweep of the Atlanta Braves. And they're right now at 16-13, only a game and a half back of Texas right now. They are, of course, doing without Jose Altuve. They've gotten off to a great start. Hunter Brown's been fantastic for them. Josh Young of the Rangers, Hunter Brown of the Astros are two of the top three favorites right now for the AL Rookie of the Year. We'll see who ultimately wins it. Starting pitching might be the thing here that might get the Astros above or where they need to go. We thought with them losing Justin Verlander this offseason there might be a drop-off in production, but Hunter Brown so far has been as good as advertised. And as long as this team continues to kind of move on forward, even without Jose Altuve in the lineup, we could be looking at a little bit of a runaway again in the American League West. I still think that Houston's going to ultimately pull away as we get closer down the stretch anyway. But a team like the Rangers, I think is going to be closer than others might have expected, especially with the start they've gotten off to. The Mariners, though, are the one surprise in this division. As I mentioned, they've gotten off to a terrible start, and they're going to be without Robbie Ray the rest of the year. So the question will be, can their starting pitching hold up? Told you guys at the beginning of the season, with Robbie Ray in there, they probably had a top 5, top 8 rotation. I think the Rangers with DeGrom in there probably have a top 5 rotation in all of the game. But it's going to be a very difficult division compared to previous years. With less divisional play anyway, it's going to allow more even schedules across Major League Baseball. So we'll see how things shake out so that teams can't consistently beat up on Oakland several times or Kansas City several times or any of the other teams that are having poor starts to the season. The Angels, of course, are hovering around 500. That's about where I expect them to be for the next month or so. The question will be is, can that starting pitching hold up? I'm not sure it can. I still think they're a little bit light there. It doesn't sound like they're going to trade Ohtani by the deadline, so they're going to have to try to get to a playoff spot in order to try to keep Ohtani, in which case I still don't think they will. I think the Dodgers right now are the odds-on favorite to get him. Yankees are hovering, Mets are hovering, the Giants are hovering, and pretty much everybody else, I imagine, looking for a bat right now has to be considering a run at Shohei Ohtani because there's really not much on the free agent market after this year. One out on the fly ball into the gap. Nice play there by Reynolds. One away in the bottom of the second. Worst team in all of baseball, though, is the Oakland A's. They're 6-23. I think they're going to struggle to win 40 games this year. I think it's a miracle they've won the games they've won. They had Jordan Davis, one of their rookies, in his third ever at bat, hit a home run to go ahead in the top of the ninth inning against the Texas Rangers, the one game I went to of the Rangers so far this year. Will Smith gave up that one, but we'll see if they're able to win 40 games. Again, I'll be shocked. It sounds like they're going to be moving to Vegas. We'll see if they keep the team name or if they decide to change it. 1-1 here to Ramirez, hitting .329. On the NL side, the Atlanta Braves off to a nice start, even with being swept by the Houston Astros, 19-10. Miami, a little bit of a surprise for most people out there, 16-13. Offensively, they're significantly better with the acquisition of Luis Arraez. Even how good Pablo Lopez is for the Twins, that's just how good Luis Arraez has been for the Marlins. He's been everything that they needed in that lineup, really lengthening them out. The one surprise in this division is the New York Mets. They spent all of that money to try to, push themselves over the top. They tried to bring in Carlos Correa as well. He, of course, has decided to not sign their contract after the Mets' physical raised some questions for them. He decides to go back to the Twins. But for the Mets, that rotation has been in tatters for the most part here in April. Verlander didn't break camp with them. Scherzer got suspended for 10 games. Senga's pretty much had to hold it down for them, and they've at least been able to tread water. Pete Alonso's been fantastic for them, absolutely mashing the ball, but they're 3 games back of the Atlanta Braves, and with all the difficulties that they had to start this season, that's a pretty good spot if you're a Mets fan to have have that decent of a record considering all the adversity you've had to go through. Brendan Nimmo's probably been one of their MVPs so far to start the season. In the bullpen, of course, all eyes turn to Edwin Diaz. He will not be available. Sounds like he's going to miss the entire season. I know there's some fans out there who think he could return late in September. I'm not buying it, but he suffered that horrific injury in the World Baseball Classic. But we'll see if they're able to hold on and keep their team together with the issues that they've had to start the season. As you mentioned earlier, Ryan, Bryce Harper is back anyway for the Philadelphia Phillies. He got the clearance yesterday from doctors. Looks like he is probably going to be back in the lineup today. Game starts at, I believe, 9 o'clock tonight as they take on the LA Dodgers. They're 15-15. They got off to a poor start. They're starting to kind of round back into shape a little bit. They're 7-3 in their last 10. So we'll see if they're able to kind of perform a little bit better. You can look at the run differential, though. That starting pitching is still my question mark with the Philadelphia Phillies. I think they're going to have to at least add one more starter by the trade deadline. 2 outs here. A 2-2 count now to Isaac Paredes, the third baseman for the Rays. Really not much happening in the game so far. Well-pitched game. Bethancourt is on deck for the Rays. Contreras, the one-time Yankee prospect, and I don't know what the catcher was trying to do on that one. That one goes back to the backstop on an easily catchable ball. Trying to frame it just right, I guess. Last in this division is the Washington Nationals. About what you'd expect, 10-18. They'll probably finish with around 60, 65 wins in this division. They have a lot of young talent. The question will be, can they develop that talent, especially on the pitching side? Mackenzie Gore, C.J. Abrams at short. Those are the pieces they're really going to have to see nice strides from in order to get their rebuild fully underway and kind of out of the rebuild stage and onto the next level of contention for the Washington Nationals. But as it stands right now, they're going to be having a difficult year. That's ball 4. Contreras walks Paredes. It looks like Bethancourt will come up with 1 on and 2 out. As we mentioned, we're covering the Pirates game today. They're off to a very nice start, 20-9, one of the best starts in their history. They've been fantastic. They're 8-2 in their last 10, run differential of 48, so this is for real. Their pitching has been fantastic. The question will be, can that pitching hold up? Again, I told you at the top, I really don't think it will, but for right now, they're neck and neck with the Rays for one of the best teams in all of Major League Baseball. But just looking at their record, they performed very well away from home. They're 11-5. Right now, they're playing in the Trop. So we'll see if they can take 2 of 3 or maybe even sweep the Rays. Rays struggling with their rotation right now. They started the game with Javi Lopez, which has quickly flipped on to Josh Fleming. Fleming has been unflappable so far. But Milwaukee's probably the team right now you'd think has to be the odds-on favorite to win this division. They're only a game and a half back right now, and they've performed very well. You'd think their pitching's going to at least hold up. They have a little bit better pitching, you'd think, long-term than the Pittsburgh Pirates. Corbin Burns is still there for at least the moment. Imagine they probably look to trade him after this season. The Milwaukee Brewers are not going to be able to keep their big 3 right now that are going to be headed towards free agency in 2024. Looking at Willy Adames, looking at Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff, they're going to have to probably pick a guy, and then outside of that, they're going to have to try to trade 1 or 2 of them. But as it stands right now, they'll probably try to keep it together for 1 more season. Contreras gets him to chase, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. Nice strikeout there. After 2 innings, 0-0 our score. While we wait for them to get back from commercial break, let's go down the rest of this anyway. Chicago Cubs off to a decent start this year. Dansby Swanson's been exactly what the doctor ordered for them. 15-13. I still think some of the other acquisitions they've made, like Cody Bellinger, etc., are ultimately going to be to do them no good. But the one surprise in this division is the St. Louis Cardinals. Again, they're off to a 10-19 start. Biggest reason for that horrible start for the Cardinals, their starting pitching. I mean, it's been bad. Minus 13 run differential tells you that maybe it's not quite as bad as it looks, but it's been that incomplete play from the St. Louis Cardinals. They're not exactly playing great baseball. In their last 10, they're 2-8, and I understand baseball's season of runs. Some days are better than others. They're only 9 games under 500. I get it. I don't think that they'll finish below Cincinnati before the end of the season. In fact, I don't think they'll finish below Pittsburgh. But with as good a start as the Milwaukee Brewers have gotten out to, and with how bad a start that the Cardinals have gotten out to, I just see it's a very difficult proposition to say the Cardinals are still the favorite in the division. They were my pick to win the NL Central this year. Obviously, I got egg on my face so far, but if I had to repick one team in one division, I'd probably pick that one. I'd say Milwaukee probably wins this division at this point. Now for the NL West. This is the division that's going to have a lot of competitive baseball over the next couple of months. You guys should make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're going to cover some of the San Diego, LA games next weekend for you guys. They're going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to try to cover all 3 of them for you guys. That's going to be a fantastic series. We could see the Padres start to open things up a little bit as they get their lineup going. But the Arizona Diamondbacks gotten off to a great start this year. They were, as I mentioned, in the lead in this division a couple of days ago. They're at 16-13 right now, only a half game back of the Dodgers. Dodgers are no longer the fearful team that they were last year. They didn't even try to re-sign Trey Turner, it sounds like. Didn't even offer him a contract. A little bit surprising, but understandable considering Trey Turner was rumored to go heavily to the Philadelphia Phillies. It seemed like it was going to be something that happened, that he was going to go back to the East Coast, and he certainly did. But a little bit surprising that they didn't at least put their name in the ring and at least throw an offer down just to see if he would accept it, or at least get interest from other shortstops who were on the market. So say if he turned down a 10-year, $300 million offer from the Dodgers, for instance, maybe that catches the eye of a Xander Bogaerts or a Carlos Correa, etc. That might be opening up a spot for one of those top shortstops to go. But it sounds like the Dodgers wanted to save some money to make a run at Shohei Ohtani. Austin Hedges digging in, 150 this year, known primarily for his defense right now. It's going to be a 1-2 count on him. But Dodgers are still on top right now, about where I expected them to be, still above 500, but not necessarily running away with the division like they have in years past. Right now, they're only a game up on both the Padres and the Diamondbacks. As I mentioned, the Diamondbacks are my team to win this division. I think they're going to win the National League as well. I just love the way they're set up as far as from a roster construction standpoint. They still have a prospect or two that they can go out there and get what they need and push all of their chips to the middle if they want. Of course, the question is, are they going to be able to re-sign Juan Soto? How effective is Fernando Tatis going to be over the long term? Juan Soto, is he going to be able to shake out of the rust that he was to start the season? Sounds like he might be getting there. But looks like Hedges reaches there to start things here in the third. The Giants, again, I told you guys the Giants were not going to be very good. Below 500, they're already 6 games under. I think this team's probably going to win 65, 70 games. I think anybody expecting anything better than that is literally looking at things with orange-colored sunglasses on. Orange because of the Giants. But I just don't see all the moves working out for them. They took a couple of gambles anyway on guys like Ross Stripling, Sean Manaea, Michael Conforto, Mitch Haniger. And while I think they're decent pieces, they didn't bring in the aircraft carrier that they promised their fan base once again. I thought they should have been in there for a guy like Carlos Correa. I thought they should have been in there for a guy like Xander Bogaerts. They were in there for Aaron Judge. It sounds like they were right there as well. It just seems like Aaron Judge wanted to go back to the Yankees more. But the Giants off to a bad start once again. And then to round things out, the Colorado Rockies at 9-20. This one's lined out to right. And Hedges is chased back to first. One away here in the top of the third. Nice contact there by Hayes. Again, he's been late on a lot of contact so far in the game. It'll be up to Brian Reynolds. Took a walk in his first at-bat. He signed that $100+ million contract and is going to be staying with the Pittsburgh Pirates for the foreseeable future. Nice representation in Tampa for all the Pittsburgh fans. That one finishes well inside, ball one. If you guys are curious about, something around Major League Baseball, have some trade ideas, any news you're hearing out there, please feel free to send it to us. We certainly do not mind. Going to check in on the lineup card anyway for the Phillies game. Just want to see if they have the lineups out there. They do. Looks like Bryce Harper is indeed in the lineup, batting third. Looks like they're going to take it easy on him to start. They're going to put him at DH. There's some talk that they could put him at first base. I imagine that's ultimately where he will end up going. But look at that lineup right there. 1, 2, 3. Schwarber, Turner, and Harper. Turner was absolutely mashing the ball in the World Baseball Classic. I think he could very well turn it on again. But it's gotten off to a little bit of a slower start than I think we all thought he would get off to, especially with how dominant he was in the World Baseball Classic. 3-1 now on Reynolds as Fleming finds the zone. One guy in this lineup who certainly had a nice bounce-back year, Nick Castellanos, hitting .319, 4 homers, a far cry from how bad he was to start the season last year. Schwarber, more of an on-base guy at this point, hitting .208 though, 7 home runs, strictly a power and on-base guy. You think of him as kind of what the best-case scenario for what Joey Gallo could ultimately be. Go back up to our game here. 3-2 now on Brian Reynolds. Stands really close to home plate in the right-handed batter's box. Fouls that one away. Remains 3-2. Still no hits in this game. Seen a few walks, but really not too much action as of yet. Well played game so far. Not much offense though. The 3-2. Tapped out to third. He'll go on to first and record the out there. Reynolds is retired. Hedges moves on to second. 2 away here, and it'll be up to McCutchen to drive him in. But as I mentioned, 2 of the best teams in Major League Baseball, at least record-wise right now. The Tampa Bay Rays got off to that long unbeaten streak to start the year. They're now 23-6 and have seen their pitching kind of come back to the pack. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, they've had a great last 10 games anyway. That's kind of what's gotten them built up to this nice record. Don't think they'll be able to sustain it, but for right now, it certainly looks good for them. McCutchen takes outside, hitting .256 on the year. Fleming up to 29 pitches. Remember, he did not start the game. That was Javi Guerra. Guerra could not get out of the first inning. This one's bounded foul. Third base side. And it's 1-1. Fleming's had a good start to the year for the Rays. .295 earned run average as we sit here in the third inning. That one misses outside, 2-1. McCutchen up right now, and then it will be Carlos Santana due up next. The 2-1 here to McCutchen. Another one tapped foul. But as I mentioned, these are 2 really good teams here to start the season, both of which playing significantly better, I think, here in the first month than what we would have thought. As I mentioned, Pittsburgh, I do not think will be able to sustain this. They've had really nice pitching and some solid performances at the plate, but I think they're playing a little bit above their heads. They're playing with house money right now. I think they might be able to maintain this level of play for another month at best, but then we should see the Milwaukee Brewers get a little bit ahead of them with their consistency, all of those types of things. I think they're just a little bit better of a team. Looks like they're going to have a strike called here on McCutchen, or is that a timeout by McCutchen? Nope, it's a timeout. Okay. 2-2. McCutchen digs back in. Hedges gets a nice lead off a second. And the pitch. Well outside, 3-2. For the Rays, the AL East is a very difficult division for them to win. They're going to have to try to right the ship really quickly here. Even with their hot start, they've only got a few games lead right now in that American League East with how good the Baltimore Orioles have been, the Toronto Blue Jays. The Yankees, just to tell you how good this division is, at 500 are in the 5th spot. McCutchen fouls this one. Lazy fly ball down the left field line, out of play. And it'll be 3-2 again. But the Rays have got to try to put some wins together against teams that they should be beating. And that's what they did to get off to that hot start. They beat the Oakland A's, a lot of other struggling clubs that we thought would come into the season struggling and having a difficult time to win, 82 or 81 games to get to 500. And they certainly cleaned up on that group. But with the level of competition increasing over the last couple of weeks, they've seen their starting rotation have some struggles. They certainly have locked up a lot of their starting pitching right now. They made the move to bring in Zach Eflin this offseason, 3 years, $40 million. They've locked up Jeffrey Springs. They've done a nice job of getting contract extensions done with what they view as key pieces to their organization. That one's ball four, and McCutchen walks once again. It'll be 2 on, 2 out now. Rays finding themselves in hot water once again with the top of this lineup as we watch the Braves get a 2-0 lead over the Marlins. Santana takes one right down the middle, strike one. Heart of the order right now for Pittsburgh. Would like to see them try to cash in. They'd missed on their first opportunity. A lot of switch hitters in this Pittsburgh Pirates lineup. Santana, of course, bounced around the league the last couple of years. Guardians, Royals, Mariners, Bucks. This one's tapped to short. This one's going to be an easy play by Franco. Flips it on to first, and that's the 3rd out of the inning. They squander another opportunity with getting 2 runners on, but fail to push one across. And after 2.5, it's still 0-0 our score. Well, we've seen a lot of walks so far in the game today, but that's kind of been the only offense we've really had. There's really not been any action on the base paths either, and still a no-hitter for both sides. I mean, eventually some team is going to get a hit, right? I mean, these are 2 of the best teams in the league record-wise right now. You'd think anyway. But you can see why the Rays are having the issues they're having, at least right now. They're struggling with their command, finding the zone. And a team that's certainly played above their heads in the Pittsburgh Pirates, while they haven't done anything yet with it, you can see why there are cracks in the foundation for the Rays. If you're a team looking to go up against the Tampa Bay Rays, I would say be very patient at the plate. Do not try to swing at the first pitch you see. Try to let them work the count, get into their bullpen, etc. Wait for your pitch. If you're sitting there hacking, expecting there to be only one good pitch for you to hit in this at-bat, a good pitch to hit in the at-bat, I mean, fine, wait, take it, let it go through a strike, and then try to build up that pitch count. Try to work a walk, get on base, etc. Pass the baton, etc. I think that's the way you can try to beat the Tampa Bay Rays. If you're trying to do it with one swing, I think the Tampa Bay Rays pitchers are waiting for you to do that, and I think that's what they feed off of with their rotation. But we've seen teams like the Yankees in years past have a lineup that works pitchers and works the count, those types of things. Teams need to take that style of approach. And I think that would be the best thing to go up against this Tampa Bay Rays pitching staff. Contreras is back out there, looking for his 3rd inning of work anyway. They show the impact of rule changes for the first month anyway. Time of the game is down about 28 minutes per game. That's very impressive compared to what it was last year anyway. Stolen bases are significantly higher. Batting average and balls in play is a little bit higher as well. We should see a little bit of regression as we go into the later months. Welcome in, Michael. You're excited about this Pirates team? I would be too. They showed a lot of promise, and this is all without O'Neal Cruz as well. That's a hard hit ball by Manny Margot. Lines it into left. He'll be on. 1 on, nobody out. But I think this is more about growth than anything else for the Pittsburgh Pirates. If you guys can continue to show this level of growth, allow those veterans to show the young guys on this team and the guys that are going to come up later this year, I think that's where your biggest victory is going to come this season, is going to be from growth of your young players. If you can get guys like, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing his name wrong. You'll have to tell me if I'm getting it right or wrong. But Sawinski's getting, 6 home runs so far this year, something like that. He's been nothing short of fantastic for them, hitting 279 as a center fielder. I think he's hitting 279, 275 now after the out in the second inning. But in either case, this Bucks team's looking pretty good. Got a promising future. The one thing they could use is some pitching prospects, but they pitched very well to start the year. If they can continue to get this level of production out of guys like Contreras, just looking at his numbers right now, Let me flip it over again real quick. Contreras on the years has a 3.34 earned run average. If he gets a scoreless inning here, that's going to drop quite a bit as well. Early in the season, you see those ERAs and batting averages jump higher and lower pretty quickly. Margot back in there safely. 0-2 count now on Jose Siri. Came over from the Astros in that 3-team deal. Pretty good defensive center fielder, but never really put it together offensively yet. Nice pick by Austin Hedges behind the plate. Bluff to throw over to first. 1-2, but the Bucks certainly are a good team. If you're looking to get on the bandwagon for a team, this is a team you might want to look at and say, hey, this is a team that's going to be pretty good for the next 5, 6, 7 years. They have budget constraints, etc., but they've locked up Ryan Reynolds now. They have O'Neal Cruz. And if they can get these, other guys to finally, produce for them and not kind of fizzle out like they've seen their position prospects do in years past, then they might really have something, that next title contention window. You remember in years past they had the Garrett Cole and Andrew McCutchen core. Now I think you're going to see the Brian Reynolds core. Ooh, Margot easily steals second there. That was an interesting safe call by the second base umpire. Didn't do the safe. He went, kind of did the little, he's safe. But they did finally pay a player in Brian Reynolds. I agree there. The reason why they didn't really do that with McCutchen is they kind of knew he was getting past his prime a little bit, or at least was entering the final years of his prime. And the reason why they had Brian Reynolds is the trade they made sending Andrew McCutchen to the Giants. That one bounces in there. It's now 3-2 now. Swing and a miss. Nice strikeout there by Contreras. And there's one away here in the third. Margot with some good speed out there on second base right now. Appreciate you guys joining us. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Siri was way out in front of that one. A lot of baseball going on right now. We got some hockey tonight as well. Some game ones in the second round of the NHL playoffs. You got Florida and Toronto in the first one tonight. And then later on this evening, the Seattle Kraken. They knocked off the defending champion Colorado Avalanche in the first round, going up against my favorite team, the Dallas Stars. After we watch this one, that'll be my next focus, is watching that game and flipping between that and the end of the Rangers. But should be a very competitive series, very defensive-minded series as well. So for those of you watching some NHL playoffs, certainly can't blame you. Two really good games tonight. Toronto finally gets out of the first round for the first time since like 2004. 3-0 here to Diaz. Contreras struggling with his command here in the third quite a bit. Kind of shaking his arm a little bit. Wonder if he's feeling a little bit of tightness from either the jersey or discomfort or just not happy with where he's throwing the ball. The pitch right at the top of the zone, but a little too high, and a 4-pitch walk for Contreras. Upset with himself on that one. And yet another walk. With all the rule changes that Major League Baseball's taken on to try to make the game a little bit better, a little bit more watchable, I'd say pretty much all of them have really worked across Major League Baseball. I mean, there's, everybody has their issues with it as far as the pitch clock, as far as how they can work it a little bit better, what time the batter needs to be in the box. If there's a runner on, should you give him another second or two to the pitcher, etc. Franco takes ball one. First and second here. And this one's going to be another double play here. Franco grounds it to the shortstop, playing up the middle, takes it to him second himself, flips on to first, and that's the end of the third. Contreras very excited about that one. You could tell his control was getting away from him a little bit in that inning, but gets the easy double play there. And it'll be 5, 6, 7 for the Pirates in the top of the fourth. We do have one hit in the game now at least. That would be Manny Margot, who led off the inning with a nice base hit into left. See if the Pirates can get something going. But so far, it's been a game of pitchers who can't find the strike zone so far. That's been the only thing we've seen. A lot of walks. But which player are you looking forward to seeing stay with your team the most? Now that Brian Reynolds is there, who's the next guy they should get the extension done with, Michael? Should they try to get one with one of their pitchers? Or should they just hold off? Teams like the Rays try to lock up their players well before they enter their prime, before you know for certain that they're going to be a good player. They hedge their bets a little bit. They have, of course, their inside knowledge about whether or not they think they're going to succeed, but they take their opportunities when they can. You look at Wander Franco, etc. You look at players in the past like Evan Longoria. They tried to lock up players that they could to numbers that they could pay. Looking at the Miami Marlins, they locked up Giancarlo Stanton at a number they absolutely couldn't afford. They couldn't manage to put a team around him at the number they kept him at, and so they had to basically pay a number of his, or quite a bit of his salary just to offload the contract for him to go to the Yankees to be able to turn the page and get their organization to the next chapter of contention. Which, for the first time, it looks like they might have a representative roster right now with the trade for Luis Arraez. But it looks like Fleming is going to come out for his, I guess you'd call it his third inning of work anyway. He's gone 2 1/3 so far. Javi Guerra got the start for the Rays, coming over in that trade from the Brewers earlier. Seen a couple of double plays in the game. That one bends over the inside corner for a strike. Great pitch there. You already locked up Hayes at third. That was one thing I wasn't sure if they should have done. I like Hayes, but I don't know if they should have waited at least another few months, because I still am not sure Hayes is a major league player for this year, if he's going to be a major league caliber player for 5 years, or if he's going to be a career Pittsburgh Pirate. That's the one thing I'm wondering about Ke'Bryan Hayes is, as good of a talent as he was coming into the organization, has he really lived up to that yet? But again, you have to do things a little bit differently when you're in this type of a market. That one misses well inside, and it's 3-2. Connor Joe on deck. I believe he played for the Rockies last year. Ouch, tapped that one off his foot. Any pitchers that you would have locked up? Or would you have rather traded Reynolds and been able to get the prospects for your pitching staff? Ooh. Strikeout looking there for Fleming. Joe takes strike one down the middle. Red Sox take an early 1-0 lead on Toronto there. Joe hitting .284 on the year, 4 homers and 11 RBIs. Again, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Tampa Bay Rays, two of the best records in all of Major League Baseball this year, as Joe rips it down the left field line. This one's going to go to the wall. First hit for the Buccos today. And he'll be in there with a stand-up double. Now, this is the third time in 4 innings that the Pirates have had somebody get into scoring position. We'll see if they can finally knock a run across. But that's the first hit of the game for the Pirates. Good hard contact right on the barrel. Nice work there. And Castro, who's had a nice start to his season, filling in for O'Neal Cruz, hitting .282. Fleming already up to 47 pitches. Castro bluffed a bunt attempt. went across the plate. A little bit surprised they didn't call something on it. I imagine the only reason they didn't is because he didn't make contact with anybody. Jammed him there, and it's 1-1. But the Pirates have had some great performances so far out of their rotation. Their lineup is certainly playing above its head as well. Just look at how many averages they have above 270. Look at all those. That's a pretty good start for your team offensively. The 1-1 here. This one's tapped to third, chases Joe back to second base, and the throw's a little bit offline. They say his foot was still on the bag as Diaz had to kind of contort himself to be able to stay on the bag and avoid the runner. Nice play there by Diaz. I'm still not sure if he had his foot on the bag, though. Throw is there in plenty of time. Yeah, it looks like it was. Yep, just barely. In either case, they choose not to review it. First pitch here to Mathias is down low and in the dirt anyway, 1-0. Rays got off to that long unbeaten streak and struggled with their pitching staff since. Offensively, though, they've had a nice start to their season as well, just like the Bucks. But they're starting to play a little bit stiffer competition, so we'll see just how good this team really is. Are they the team that went on that long unbeaten streak, or is that strictly a function of how the schedule flipped for them to begin the year? The 1-0, just north of the zone and able to hold off is Mathias. Former Brewer and Ranger, he played well for Texas in the second half. Really kind of exploded for them offensively last year. And then there just wasn't going to be a spot for him on the Major League roster, so the Rangers decided to deal him to Pittsburgh. Allen finishes beneath the zone, and Joe swipes third base. Nice stolen base there. With 2 outs, a little bit risky, but kind of caught them sleeping. Second stolen base of the year there for Connor Joe. He got a good secondary lead and just kept on going. In either event right now, it's 3-0. As that one finds the outside corner, 3-1. Base hit right now gives the Pirates the lead. Fleming up to 54 pitches through 3 innings. The set and eventually the pitch. Beneath the zone, and Mathias takes another walk. Just looking at the scorecard right now, that's 5 walks in the game right now. None of them have come across to score, so I guess they're limiting the damage a little bit. But in either event, Pirates certainly working the count. Got to like that if you're a Pirates fan. Would like to see some more contact to drive in these runners. But once again, another runner in scoring position. We'll see if they can finally drive in the run. It'll be up to Austin Hedges, who also worked a walk the last time. That one is lined to third base. Nice diving catch on the line. And that's the 3rd out of the inning. And once again, more runners stranded on base. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for the Rays. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for the Pirates. We go to the bottom of the 4th. 0-0, our score. Check in on some of the other headlines from around Major League Baseball. We saw a couple of players designated for assignment today. Some of the notable names you might have heard of. Jake Diekman, he's been around the major leagues a little bit now. Started his career, of course, with the Philadelphia Phillies. Spent some time with the Rangers, the A's, most recently with the Chicago White Sox. He looks like he might be headed towards free agency. I'd imagine somebody's going to pick him up because he does have that track record of success. Obviously not performing as well as the White Sox would have liked. Otherwise, they would have kept him on their roster. Mariners designate Tommy La Stella. You might remember him from his days with the LA Angels. He's kind of a utility infielder type, so if you're looking for a guy that usually has high on-base type skills, you might want to make a phone call and say, hey, maybe you can get him for cash or something like that. Put him in your minors and keep him for depth. So kind of keep your eyes peeled for what might happen there. German Marquez, another starting pitcher, goes down. Just looking at that headline right there, the Colorado Rockies are not going to have a great year already. He was one of the few pitchers that's pitched very well for them over the past few years. I think he's the longest tenured starting pitcher in Colorado Rockies history as far as making consecutive opening day starts. I think he's gotten like 3 opening day starts in a row, which is a record for that organization, by the way. But we mentioned that Tyler Mahle is going to be shut down for 4 weeks. Jacob deGrom, kind of precautionary, is going to be on the 15-day IL for elbow inflammation. He had some stiffness a couple of starts before that. And in his last start, he had some inflammation that they found after his most recent start. And so they're just going to make sure everything's fine with him. Not too worried about him long term because, again, like everybody says in the out there in the New York media, of course, he's a Ferrari. He's got to have everything just right. And so the Rangers, with the investment they have in him and with the start that they've gotten off to, even without Corey Seager, no need to push him and make him throw the ball when he's not, when he would have to make adjustments for it, etc. That was their reasoning in the start that he had against Kansas City and again against the Yankees. First ball swinging, this one's bounded off the one hop off the top of the wall, and that's going to be a nice base hit there. Randy Arozarena having some fun out there on second base after hitting a nice long double there. But starting pitching, kind of, again, the name of the game right now. We saw before the season, Tristan McKenzie went down for the Guardians. And then I mentioned the Robbie Ray injury for the Mariners. A lot of starting pitching injuries over the last few weeks. But the good news for the Phillies is that Bryce Harper's back. So that's kind of your news from around Major League Baseball at the moment. Check back in here. There you go. Contreras back out there for his 4th inning of work. Gave up that leadoff double. Brandon Lowe off to a nice start as far as power, but his average down to 230 on the year. Bounces that one in the dirt. Arozarena not going anywhere. Swing and a miss on that one, low and in. And it's 1-2. We need to sign SL. Who's SL? Nice pitch for Contreras on that one. Some pitchers. Wonder if you mean starting pitching. But yeah, I think the starting pitching category might be the area where you could use some improvement over the next year or two. I mean, there was some talk about them bringing in Kyle Gibson before the season. He got off to a decent start from what I recall from for the Baltimore Orioles. He would have been a great addition to that staff. But things have looked pretty good. If you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. The 2-2 pitch. Bounce to first base. Taking it himself is Santana. On to third. On the plate is Arozarena. One away here in the bottom of the 4th with a runner on third base. Less than 2 outs. We'll see if the Rays try to play some small ball and try to do a sacrifice fly or something like that. Ramirez comes out swinging and fouls that one off. 0-1. But I think that's the next step for Pittsburgh, is being able to consistently put up good performances on the mound. If they're able to do that, their offense certainly has had a nice improvement this year. We'll see if they're able to keep that level of improvement and find some consistency with that staff. Harold Ramirez is the DH, hitting .324, struck out back in the 2nd inning, 5 home runs and 11 RBIs. Looks like they wanted to go north of the zone, and that's exactly where Contreras put it. Not really competitive, though. I think they wanted that one a little bit more over the plate, but high. That one was high and outside, and it's 1-1. Another one just off the outside corner and fouled away by Ramirez. A little bit more contact on that one, though. Maybe they go with bust him with a fastball up and in. See if they can sneak one by him. Strikeout here would be huge for the Pirates. The Rays aren't going to roll over for anybody. You gotta fight for every inch in the game. They do go fastball, but it's out and over the plate, and this one's grounded through the infield. First run of the game, Arozarena comes around to score, and it's 1-0 here in the bottom of the 4th. Mislocation pretty bad with that one, I think. I think they wanted that one on the inner half of the plate, and that one just leaked all over the outside of the plate. and that's where Ramirez was really looking for it. You could tell he was off on that first pitch. He got a little bit more on it the second one that he fouled off, and then that one caught way too much of the plate right there. Wasn't even on the corner. Contreras missing with his location once again. Ball one. Paredes, the third baseman, after making that diving stab to stop the rally for the Bucks in the in the top half of the fourth. See if he comes around offensively here. That's a generous call by the home plate umpire. Curveball was just outside the zone, but they say yes, it was good. 1-1. That one beneath the zone, and Hedges was going to try to make a throw to gun down the runner at second, but lost the ball on the transfer, and the runner advances easily. Another stolen base for the Rays. Just going on first movement. Ramirez able to swipe the bag rather easily. Kevin Cash getting things moving for his team. The 2-1 lifted foul, and it's going to be 2-2. Again, game one tonight, Florida versus Toronto in the NHL. Game one later on this evening between the Seattle Kraken, their first experience of playoff hockey, and they take out the defending champions. I think that's the first or second time that's ever happened in NHL history. An expansion team takes out the defending champion. This one's tapped to short. Ramirez moves on to third on the play. 2 away. A little bit of a risk there if you're Ramirez. If that ball is in front of you, you're taught as a base steal or a base runner. If that ball is in front of you, crosses your face, you stay at the base. If it's behind you, you go. But as it stands, he's able to get to third with 2 outs. Contreras up to 61 pitches now. Swing and a miss. He's got that outside corner working for him now. Since he got that call from the umpire, you can see him, he's trying to work that corner pretty consistently. Maybe he's noticed something either with the home plate umpire calling that pitch a little bit more often, or maybe he's noticing a weakness in the Tampa Bay hitter's strike zone. Betancourt swings and misses at that one, and it's quickly 0-2. Fouled off, and it remains 0-2. Tap that one off of his foot. Looks like the Yankees are down 2-0 already to the Guardians. I know that's got to excite a lot of you fans in the AL East. The evil empire struggling with Aaron Judge out. They'll take their lumps right now, but eventually I think they'll get their offense going. That offense has not performed well to start the season at all. Aaron Judge has really been carrying him, and now he is out. My question, though, big picture for them is going to be that pitching staff. Are they going to be able to pitch 162 games? That's also my issue for the Houston Astros. Both teams, I think, have really good rotations when healthy, but the question is, are they going to be able to, 1, perform at that high level, and 2, are they going to be able to stay healthy? I think that's the bugaboo for both of those. Mets right now are going through a little bit of an issue with their starting rotation, but I think they'll eventually get it right. The 1-2 rolled to third base. Nice stop there by Hayes. Flips on to first, and that's the third out of the inning. But the Rays do scratch across a run, and that's going to be 1-0 going to the 5th inning. Rays on top of the Bucks. Let's check out the standings one more time just to see if there's anything else we missed here. Just kind of looking at things, how the divisions are performing. Look at every single team 500 or better in the AL East. We thought the Central would struggle, and they certainly are. The only team with a winning record there is the Minnesota Twins. The AL West, we knew the Oakland A's were going to be a AAA ball club at best this year. The one surprise, of course, was the Seattle Mariners. Outside of that, the other 3 teams are above 500. On the NL side, the surprise there would be the Miami Marlins having a winning record. The move for bringing in Luis Ariz for Pablo Lopez, taking one strength and trying to solve one of their deficiencies offensively, certainly seems to have worked so far. We'll see if it hurts them in the long run from a pitching standpoint. But they've got some very good young phenoms coming. should in the next month, or I should say in the next year or two anyway. Braves have taken a 3-0 lead over the Marlins there. Mets, we've mentioned their troubles out of the gate, but I think they'll be just fine. The question will be, will they be able to stay? Will they be able to stay with the Atlanta Braves in the division because of the issues that they've had with their starting rotation? I still think they'll get it healthy, and I think they'll get it right at some point. But they no longer have that guy in the ninth that absolutely shuts it down every single game in Edwin Diaz. He's out due to injury for the year. And so I think while their rotation looks good on paper, we've seen the issues they've had through 1 month already. How many starts are they going to get out of guys like Verlander, Scherzer? Senga, is he able to stay healthy? Is he able to continue to perform the way he has? Or are the Major League hitters going to start to catch up and figure out what he's trying to do to them? Senga, I thought, was going to be a number 2, 3 type starter when he came over, and so far he's performed just like that, maybe even a little bit above that. He's been everything the Mets could have hoped for, especially with the issues they've had with Verlander and Scherzer getting them on the mound. But good start there for the Mets considering their issues. Phillies being able to balance out their schedule so far, back to 500 with their struggles to begin the year, as they show the play by Hayes to get the out to end the inning. Pittsburgh, of course, off to that great record. I think that's the second best record in the majors right now, best being the Rays. Milwaukee Brewers, 18-10, gotten off to a great start. The surprise, of course, is the St. Louis Cardinals. Nice pitch there by Fleming right on the outside corner. 0-1. As we are started here in the top of the fifth. Hayes hitting .227 this year, 1 home run, 9 RBIs. Ouch! 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 That one was grounded right back up the middle and off the ankle of the pitcher. That looked like it went off the bone of the ankle. Fleming is at least kind of squatting down right now. That one caught him pretty good. You saw him kind of cry out in pain on that one. Fleming might be done, just from a precautionary standpoint. But he got nailed right on that ankle. He's kind of limping around a little bit, doubled over. Trainer's out there quickly. But I think that nailed him right on the ball of his ankle. He's trying to walk it off right now, see if it's just a stinger. That caught him pretty darn good. Runner is safe at first, by the way. Just looking at the play one more time as he threw the pitch, his follow through when he finally got his back foot down again, it hit the ground just as the ball arrived. So he was starting to transfer his weight to that foot, so I imagine that's part of the reason why it hurts so much for him. Looks like they're going to have him try to throw one. He is limping. I do not see why the Rays are even having him throw a warm-up pitch here. I would take him out of the game just purely for precaution. He's limping up to the mound. Come on, man. This isn't the 1990s or 1980s. The Rays have a plethora of pitchers. There's no need to risk injury. I mean, he's still throwing the ball because, I'm just wondering if he's still following through, though. Because that is his plant foot whenever he's trying to push off on the mound. Yep, they're going to go ahead and call it. Kevin Cash saw him kind of wince as he threw the ball, two warm-up throws there, and says, nope, that's it, that's enough. Fleming is out of the game. Remember, they went with the opener, if you will, in Javi Guerra, making his debut for his new team in the Rays. Fleming, who'd gotten off to a nice start this year, takes one right off the outside of his left ankle. And looks like he's obviously out for the game today. We'll see if he ultimately has x-rays come back negative. They're going to go to the bullpen. Curious to see who they're going to go with here. Looks like Poche is who they're going to go with. Lefty. Now he'll have as much time as he needs to try to get loosened up. Trying to do some stretching out there on the mound. Umpire letting him know, hey, don't take too long. Sorry, buddy. It's an injury. I'm going to take as long as I need. So we got a little bit of time now with the injury to Fleming here. Hopefully everything's okay for him, but I imagine the Rays are kind of holding their breath a little bit, hoping he didn't cause a fracture there or something. But you could tell when he was throwing those warm-up pitches that he was still effective with it, but you could tell that the pain was kind of pushing through him while he was pushing off with that plant foot. That was the one that kind of swung around with his leg whenever that ball finally collided with his ankle. It was right on the ball of that ankle, and looks like he's at least out for today. I wonder if he'll miss a start or two as they try to be cautious with him going forward. But hopefully they avoid major injury. But Hayes is on first here to begin things in the fifth. Rays, of course, 1-0 right now on top. While we wait for him to get going, let's kind of round out where we were at anyway. We mentioned a little bit about St. Louis. They've had up and down performances on the mound, up and down performances at the plate. So they've struggled a little bit fielding the ball as well. So they're not doing things necessarily the Cardinal way that we've seen them do in the past. Play strong defense, good pitching, and timely hitting. They haven't been doing that this year, and that's why their record right now is 10-19. Now, of course, they have those games where they go off like gangbusters, but for the most part, they haven't been consistent. And that's the one issue that I have with the Cardinals. I think they will figure it out at some point. I still think they'll be right there as we get closer towards the end of the season, that they'll be in second or third, depending on how the Cubs go the rest of the way, depending on how the Pittsburgh Pirates go the rest of the way. Pirates have had a nice step forward this year. We'll see if they can maintain that after April. But they got a tough series here against the Tampa Bay Rays. And, of course, in the NL West, we talked a little bit about the return of Fernando Tatis Jr. Remember, he missed the beginning part of last season because of multiple motorcycle accidents that he had that he didn't get treatment for his injuries. He had to get some surgery done when he reported to spring training. The organization expressed some disappointment in his maturity level, ability to handle himself off the field, being able to take care of himself when he does get injured. Now, they weren't necessarily upset about the motorcycle accident, the first one, but he had countless motorcycle accidents. He couldn't even remember how many he had when he reported to spring training, when he spoke with reporters, and that was the first issue the Pirates had with him last year. Then, of course, you remember that previous season he had issues with his arm strength, etc., and so they moved him to the outfield for periods of time. That's why this year, they brought in Xander Bogaerts, they felt comfortable moving him to the outfield because of his past experience there. But last year, he comes into spring training injured, so he's out for 3 months. As he's getting back closer to returning, he goes through the drug testing protocol, starting to tear things up at the minor league level again. He pops a positive test for a banned substance, and boom, just like that, after making the trade for Juan Soto, making the trade for Josh Hader, 2 days after the trade deadline, he's popped for PEDs and is given an 80-game suspension. And so, obviously, the disappointment in the San Diego Padres franchise was very real. There was some discussion about him being a dark horse candidate to be traded. I believe if you were a team that missed out on Aaron Judge, looking at you, San Francisco, or the Chicago Cubs, or all the other teams that were looking at top-end shortstops in this past market, that you could have at least made a call to the San Diego Padres, and I don't think they would have instantly hung up like they would have if you called about, say, Juan Soto or any of their other superstars. Manny Machado. They got the extension done with Machado this offseason. They finally got Tatis Jr. back as of April 20th, and it's been a so-so start for them with him back in the lineup. But I think once they've gotten their lineup situated the way they want it, Xander Bogaerts out of that top spot, I think Tatis Jr. is now their leadoff hitter. Looks a lot different. Poche is ready, fires ball one, and now a strike right down the middle to Brian Reynolds. 1-1 is the count. We are back underway in Tampa Bay. And that one misses. And it's now 2-1. Pirates trying to claw back even with the Rays here after surrendering the first run of the game. Seen a lot of walks in this game, not a lot of control by starting pitching so far, or by pitchers, period, so far today. The set and the pitch. Reynolds grounds this one through the hole between short and third. Hayes goes on to third, eyes up all the way, easily makes it, and Reynolds is going to make it into second. That's a double there for Reynolds, and it's going to be runners on second and third. Another inning here where they've gotten runners in scoring position. We'll see if they can finally get somebody across the plate, though. That's been their issue. They've gotten runners in scoring position in the first, the third, the fourth, and now the fifth inning. We'll see if they can finally scratch across a run against a team that's very stingy at least to open the season. But over the past couple of weeks, it's starting to give up some more runs. We'll see if they're able to kind of strike gold, strike pay dirt for the time being. That one misses beneath the zone, and it's 1-0. Andrew McCutchen, who's walked twice so far today. This one a little bit higher, and it's called a strike there, 1-1. McCutchen, 256 on the year, 5 home runs, and 14 RBIs. Pirates would love to see that number go up to 16 here and take the lead now that they've got 2 runners in scoring position. Nice framing there by Bethencourt, their catcher. Right on the inside corner, and again, just absolutely perfect placement by Poche. McCutchen didn't really buy it, but I think he's more upset that he was able to put 2 pitches back to back right there. Very difficult spot for him to make hard contact with. And let's see if he goes right back to the well. And he does. Off-speed pitch this time has McCutchen way out front. Finishes beneath the zone. And that's the first out of the inning. Carlos Santana due up next. He's 0 for 2 so far today with a .270 batting average. You gotta hope one of these guys is able to come through for you. Your 3, 4, 5 guys. McCutchen's still talking about those pitches. This should drive in a run. Maybe not. Santana lifted this one into center. Hayes is going to try to score. The ball gets away. Did he touch home? I don't know if he actually touched the plate. The ball got away from the catcher, but I'm still not sure if Hayes actually touched home plate or not. Reynolds advanced to third on the short fly ball by Santana. The throw is there in plenty of time. Bethencourt just couldn't capture it. But I'm still not sure if Hayes actually touched the plate. It looks like for the moment it's tied 1-1. Series throw was there in plenty of time. It was a short hop on Bethencourt and it just leaked through him. He didn't touch home plate. I still don't see where Hayes actually touches the plate. I mean, the ball got away from Bethencourt. It's kind of rolling around underneath him. I mean, if he had just walked back up there and gotten... I mean, his foot pops up, so it's not his front lead foot on the slide. If Bethencourt was sitting facing the pitcher's mound, on his rear end, not looking at Hayes after he'd lost the ball, he gets up. He should have easily just tapped home plate. I wonder if there's going to be some type of review. Looks like there is a review. But Hayes, I never saw touch the plate. It's either the end of the inning with the Rays still on top, 1-0, or that's going to be tied at 1 with 2 outs here. But I don't see him actually touch the plate in any of these camera angles. No. His back knee, maybe? The back knee was the only thing that got even close. That's just awareness by a young player. If you don't touch home plate, or if you're not sure, always make sure you touch home. I don't care if you think you're out, touch it anyway. Rays are indeed challenging it. Seen multiple camera angles, and I still don't see any angle that shows Hayes touching home. Wow. And the call stands? That's a little bit surprising there. I mean, just looking at all of the different replay angles, it was a bang-bang play at the plate. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I'm looking at... Okay, this is the best angle I've seen so far. and you can't see him touch the plate, but you can't see him not touch the plate on that angle. So I guess that's why they say stands. Welcome in, Hank. But I still don't see anywhere besides his back knee that got anywhere even close to the plate. But either way, as it stands, it's going to be 1-1 now. Poche misses upstairs. Sawinski up right now. 0 for 2 on the day. The lefty had to come in for the injury to Fleming. Nice off-speed pitch right at the top of the zone. 1-1 now. Possible unlikely World Series matchup. I don't think this matchup has a prayer, but I think this is a good step forward as an organization for Pittsburgh. Don't get me wrong. But as far as the Rays, I think they've got a decent shot to get there. I still don't think they're one of the top 5 favorite teams in the American League to make it to the World Series. I'd probably put them in that 6 to 8 range as far as teams to get to the World Series, as we see the Diamondbacks take an early 1-0 lead over Texas. The 2-1. Hard hit. Right center. Looks like in front of the warning track, Arozarena is going to make the catch, or Margot is going to make the catch. And it's going to be a 1-1 tie as we go to the bottom of the 5th. I still am shocked that they called that one stands, because I didn't see any camera angle where he clearly touched the plate. I mean, the only thing that got close was his back knee when he was sliding in there. Rays, Padres would be cool. Padres, yes. Rays are not necessarily a cool team to watch. I'll put it that way. They're not exactly the most exciting brand of baseball out there in the American League. I'll put it that way. They do have a very good team. Don't get me wrong. Rays fans, don't come at me. But I think even Rays fans would agree, while their offense has certainly improved, they don't necessarily have the lineup that some of the other top teams in the American League have. But hopefully Josh Fleming is okay. We'll check in on that score for the Rangers game just to see what happened. Ketel Marte looks like he got a home run off of John Gray. John Gray in his last start got off to a decent, well, was it his last start or the start before? Either way, John Gray struggled with his command for the better part of his last 2 starts and the second half of his appearances. We'll see if he's able to control a little bit better. So far today, 12 pitches, 9 strikes. Get back to our games because we're getting close to getting back from commercial break. No World Series wins ever for both teams. Yeah, true, but the cool part for me would be a team like the Rangers getting there, obviously, because I'm a Rangers fan. But I think there are other teams out there that would be there for other reasons. Kevin Cash looks like he went out there during the break to talk with the umpire to say, hey, if you don't see him touch home, why isn't he called out? In either event, ball 1 here to begin things here in the bottom of the 5th. That one finds the zone 1-1. Manny Margot had a nice base hit his first time up. He stole a base as well. Hitting .250 now in the year. That one misses outside, 2-1. Contreras, 69 pitches, 43 strikes. I can understand the frustration for Kevin Cash there. But a teaching moment for this Bucks team. Derek Shelton got the extension anyway with the Pirates before the season, or after the season began, for their performance so far. That one's another ball, and that's a 5-pitch walk there to Manny Margot, a guy who already has a stolen base in this game. Jose Siri up next, struck out in his first at-bat. Keep your eyes peeled for what might happen here with Margot. Looks like Thompson is loosening. Ryan Thompson for the Rays. Looks like he will pitch the top of the 6th. Rays going to have a little bit of a bullpen game here. As we see the Red Sox have a 3-0 lead. Another ball for Contreras. If he throws another ball here, I'd imagine we'll see a mound visit. Contreras certainly has lost his command over the last 2 innings. This is the 3rd inning in a row we've seen difficult or struggling control. This one's lifted into short center, going out as the shortstop in and falling in between the two for a base hit is Jose Siri. He says thank you to up to the heavens for allowing that one to fall in. And it's going to be 2 on with nobody out. Yeah, but I thought there was enough evidence for them to overturn. I mean, the only thing that got close for Brian Hayes was the back knee. And just looking at it, we never saw it even approach the plate. I mean, it looked like he missed the plate by a good 6 inches to a foot with that back knee. It wasn't like it was right there. Did he scrape it with his knee or something like that? It looked like clear and conclusive evidence that he was not there. You've invested a good amount of money on Leody Taveras cards. Well, I think with his brother, who unfortunately passed away, I think he had a good bet there for Leody possibly being a success in the majors. His first taste of the majors did not go well, obviously hitting below 100. Last year, he performed very well in the first half, but I think Major League pitchers started to adjust to what he was doing at the plate and struggled mightily in the second half. This year so far, he's had a mixed bag of performances, so we'll see. We'll see if he's able to, right the ship a little bit. Diaz pops this one up. This one might be an infield fly. Matthias pretends that he couldn't see it for just a moment, but that was an infield fly rule there. 1 away, and Contreras looking for another ground ball double play. Appreciate you guys joining us. If you haven't hit that subscribe button or liked the video already, please do so. It really does help us out. I cannot tell you the number of ways that helps us, so if you don't mind, we'd really appreciate that. Nice curveball right on the outside corner there for a strike. And that one right down the heart, grounded through the middle and into center. This will score at least 1 run. Looks like we'll have runners on the corners now, but the Rays take the lead 2-1 here. Offense is starting to simmer a little bit now. Not to a full boil, but we're getting there. But Contreras has certainly lost command of pretty much most of his pitches right now. If I'm in the Pittsburgh Pirates dugout, I'm taking a long, hard look at that bullpen and saying, what do we got? Contreras is up to 78 pitches already. Duran and Young are definitely going to make it. I have some raw, decent cards of Duran. That would be a good one. Young is way too expensive, as Duran is getting too expensive also. Well, I think Young is going to be a superstar for the Rangers. Looks like we have a mound visit here at least. Pitching coach a little animated right now. I like the pitching coach for the Pirates. He was getting into it with Contreras, trying to pump him up a little bit. Maybe it's the body language he was seeing was what the problem was, why his command was getting off. But that was an animated mound visit for their pitching coach there in Pittsburgh. I liked it. Rosarena is up there now, 1 for 2 on the day. Fouls this one down the first base side, out of play, 0-1. Again, runners on first and third now as the Rays have taken the lead 2-1. Looks like he went around on that one well outside the zone and in the dirt. Nice block, though, by Hedges to keep Margot from scoring if that ball got past him. 0-2. Gray having a bad first inning. Well, I wonder if he's the next guy to go on the IL for the Rangers. He was the guy I was wondering even before this. Nice pickoff attempt, though, on Franco at first base by the Contreras anyway. But it's 0-2 right now. But I was wondering if they would come up with like some elbow soreness or a shoulder fatigue or something like that for Gray just to get his mind right and put Dunning in the rotation for a turn. But Gray has certainly struggled with his command, it looks like. That pitch was down right in the zone. Wow, a double steal, and wow. They called the pitch a ball. Should have been called a strike first and foremost. Why Hedges is throwing to second on that one, I will never know. The runner easily was going to steal the bag in Franco. The throw was nowhere near going to be in time. And then because he threw down to second, Margot had already gotten a very good secondary lead and just immediately took off the second he saw Hedges pop up. He didn't even wait for the throw to go. He just took off the second he saw the way Hedges popped up. If he had bluffed a throw, they would have nailed Margot at third. Well, hold on. On second thought, that replay showed he waited just a tick longer. Okay, so they might not have had him, but still, what is Hedges doing there? You can see Hedges' eyes get this big around. The second he threw that, he knew he made a mistake. This one's hard hit right at third baseman Hayes, and that will be the second out of the inning. But the damage has been done already for the Rays in this half inning, 3-1. You said he's having a bad inning. 2-0. Fletcher ground in. Christian Walker scored. Okay. Well, at least it's limited the damage. I mean, they're going up against one of the best pitchers in the majors this year. So we'll see if he can right the ship. Brennan Lau digging in once again. 7 home runs, 18 RBIs. Ball one was low. Wow. He pulled the string on that one. Lowe wasn't able to figure that one out. And it's 1-1. That one just on the outside corner. Starting to find the zone with that one. But if that pitch is any closer over that plate, I would expect that to go out of the ball yard. So I think this is probably the last inning work here for Contreras. The 1-2 pitch. Popped up. Behind shortstop, going out is Castro, kind of twisting himself around and makes the catch. That's the end of the fifth, but the damage certainly has been done. Should probably be 3-0 game, but as it stands, it's a 3-1 ball game. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for the Pirates. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Rays through 5. Looks like Thompson will be coming on for the Rays in the top half of the 6th. Check in on some of the other scores from around Major League Baseball. Atlanta up 3-0 on the Marlins. Nationals 1-0 on the Cubs. Guardians 2-0 over the Yankees. Red Sox 3-0 over the Blue Jays. In the top of the 6th, Twins and White Sox are scoreless, although it looks like the Twins are threatening with a couple runners on and only 1 out. 3-0 Royals on top of the Orioles. Angels 4, Cardinals nothing. We already mentioned the Diamondbacks 2-0 advantage right now on the Rangers, although it looks like they got Simeon on second base. Giants have a 1-0 lead over Houston. And looks like our late games are just starting up anyway. It does look like Marcus Simeon did hit a double there to lead things off for the Rangers. Just want to look at Zach Gallen's numbers real quick. Coming into the day, he had a 2.15 earned run average, so a tough starter they're going up against there. Looks like we're just getting back from commercial break. It is Ryan Thompson on to replace Colin Poche. It'll be 6, 7, and 8 in the lineup for the Pirates as they try to claw their way back. Connor Joe had that double and stole third base last time he was up. His average at 293 so far on the year. Pretty good numbers for him. See if he can keep that up the rest of the way. The first pitch from a sidearm delivery. Thompson's kind of a tall, lanky guy, and it's coming off sidearm a little bit. 8 games this year, 1-0 record, a 2.35 earned run average, 7 2/3 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, and 4 walks. That one dotted the corner but called a ball. Thompson did not like that one. 1-1. This one misses well outside the zone. 2-1. Looks like the Rangers have struck back, and it's now a 2-1 game there in Arlington. By the way, if you're in Texas, I know I'm in Texas right now, so I get a fair amount of Texas viewers. If you haven't gone to the new Rangers ballpark, check it out. It's pretty awesome. Especially before it gets hot out with the roof open. Just a beautiful place to watch a game. The 2-1 pitch. Outside again. 3-1. And again, command has been the name of the game so far in this game. A lot of issues throwing strikes for both sides. But the Rays are able to cash in a little bit better in the last couple of innings. It's to a 3-1 advantage. This one right down the heart of the plate. Joe taking all the way. 3-2 now. Rodolfo Castillo waits on deck. He's 0 for 2. Curious to see what this lineup looks like in a couple of years. Joe taps this one down the line again, and this one's going to go all the way to the wall. Joe's going to have another stand-up double down the left field line. Takes a wide turn at second and races back. Thought for a second he was going to try to push it to third, but thought better of it. Welcome in, Terrell. Appreciate you for joining us. Or Terrell. Who you got winning this game? Probably the Rays. I think Contreras was probably their best bet to try to keep the game close early on. And the issues that they were having on the Rays side as far as with control, Fleming going down due to injury, etc. I thought that the Pirates had a lot of opportunities, the first, the third, the fourth, and the fifth, to be able to scratch across some runs. And even though they got runners into scoring position in all 4 of those innings, they were only able to scratch across 1 run. I think that was the opportunity in the game for Pittsburgh to really get out there and get an advantage. And they failed to do it. Now with the Tampa Bay Rays, you know they're a good team that likes to bullpen a lot of games. So they're very comfortable mixing and matching these innings. Good start here, though, for the Pirates here in the 6th. Ouch. As Castro pounds that one into the dirt off of his foot. It'll be 1-1 now. Thompson looks like he's he's struggling to find the zone a little bit here. Not agreeing with the home plate umpire on some of the ball strike calls, but that's not going to matter much. I mean, you still got to be effective. Maybe this will be the last opportunity for Pittsburgh to really, take advantage, but I think the Rays bullpen will probably lock it down here. Ouch. That one ran way too far inside again and hit him right in the hip. We will get a mound visit. I imagine they're going to get the bullpen going as well. Runners on first and second now with nobody out. We'll see if Pittsburgh can claw their way back in. Looks like that one caught him in the front part of the leg. Ouch. As he was trying to twist out of that, caught him right in the thigh. Appreciate you guys joining us. Got 22 of you guys with us right now. Hit that like and subscribe. Watching a game between the 2 best records in all of Major League Baseball here right now. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Houston. Wonder if we are getting a pinch hitter for Matthias. It is going to be Marcano. I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name. I would butcher it so badly. I will in just a moment for you, Mr. Houston. Let me see what happens here. He squares around a bunt and pushes it down the third base line. Thompson comes off the mound to get it and I mean just beats Marcano. That was a pretty well-placed bunt, but just a better play defensively. But the runners do advance second and third. And once again, more runners in scoring position in the first, the third, the fourth, and now the fifth and the sixth now, excuse me. And they've still scratched across a grand total of 1 run. This does get runners at second and third with less than 2 outs. You'd like to see them be able to scratch across both of those runners and tie it up. Oh, yeah. You just want to see what the score is real quick. And the outs. The Twins have taken the lead. They had the 2 runners on. Looking at the summary. Let's look at the scoring. Looks like a sacrifice fly by Lernick scores Buxton with 2 outs in the 6th. So that's kind of your recap there, Mr. Houston. Austin Hedges, I'm a little bit surprised they're not trying to pinch hit for here. Maybe they just value his defense, although we saw his defense cost them a run the last half. I mean, Andujar is there. I mean, Delay is your catcher backup. I guess you want Hedges for at least one more time through the order. Looks like Dwayne Underwood Jr. is loosening for the Pirates. Looks like Contreras is indeed done. 1-2 count here to the number 9 hitter, Austin Hedges. Maybe you can find some green grass. His average down to 146 now. Hedges was asking for a time or a balk. Is upset. The ball was way outside, so it's in his favor anyway. He's pissed. Home plate umpire is getting into it now with Derek Shelton. Home plate umpire just taking it. Derek Shelton yelling some profanities now at the other umpires for not catching it either. Kind of lucky he didn't get thrown out there. That one well outside, and it's 2-2 again. Thompson struggling with that pitch. He didn't even come set. That's a quick pitch. 3-2 now. Off speed, swung on and missed. I mean, I get the reason why you're upset if you're Pittsburgh, but at some point you got to execute there. I mean, you already got 1 run on a missed call by the umpire there at home plate. I get the reason for the quick pitch, or I get the reason why you're upset on that one, but umps are going to miss it every once in a while. Another off speed is in there, and Hayes takes strike 1. Welcome in, EG. Do I bet on sports? Occasionally. Got 22 of you guys with us right now. If you don't mind, hit that like and subscribe. It does help us out so much. You guys have no idea how much that actually helps. So thank you for those of you who have already done so. Thompson's really struggling with that pitch. He's either right on the corner with it or he's 3 feet outside. And not quite a dive from the catcher to stay in front of it, but a full stretch, we'll say the least. This one's up and away. Thompson pointing at the ground saying, it's my fault, I shouldn't have done that. Well, yeah, you're the pitcher. Who else would have done it? Got to think this is definitely the last batter, though, for Thompson. He's been very erratic. The 2-1 well outside, and it's 3-1. With as erratic as he is, you'd want to wait for your perfect pitch if you're Hayes here, especially with Brian Reynolds on. I get you want to put some damage out there, but I would wait for the right pitch. I mean, that pitch is a good foot outside. He didn't wait on it at all. He would be on first base with Reynolds coming up, but he swung, and I don't know why he swung at that one at all. Yeah, I would take a timeout too there. Wow, the umpire, I guess, is a little bit more on it. I was looking at that. He granted the time with like half a tick before he tried to throw it. The 3-2, 2 on, 2 out in the sixth. Right on the inside corner. Hayes took all the way, and he has a word for the home plate umpire. Wow. A pitch that close you can't take. A pitch a foot outside you can't swing at. That's the difference right there. And once again, the Rays get runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs. They've gotten runners in scoring position in the first, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth. And again, have only scratched across 1 run in the game. Not going well if you're a Pittsburgh fan today. Looks like Castillo is indeed done. It will be Underwood coming on for the bottom of the sixth. The Rays looking to continue their hot start to the season. They got off to that great start to begin the season, then of course have faltered over the last couple of weeks. Their starting rotation falling back to middle of the pack. Just going to check in on some of the other scores from around Major League Baseball. I saw the Rangers put up a run, so let's see what ultimately happened there. Looks like Nathaniel Lowe hit a base hit and scored Simeon from second. Looks like Gray is again struggling with his command so far. Hopefully he can right the ship a little bit. Some of the other scores, we mentioned the Giants were up 1-0 on Houston, still remains the case. Angels still 4, Cardinals 0. Baltimore has come back a little bit. They have put a couple runs on the board, now 3-2 against Kansas City in the fourth. We mentioned the Minnesota game, 1-0 Twins over the White Sox. White Sox made so many roster moves today. They made 11 different roster moves today on their roster, and they've got only 8 wins on the year. They're trying to correct that. We'll see if they're able to. Blue Jays were down 3-0. They came back a little bit here, scored 6 runs. Just looking at their box score, scored 6 in the top of the 5th. Just looking at their lineup, they got a home run from Varsho, a 3-run home run. They've got a double from Varsho in the game, so he's kind of doing the heavy lifting for them against the Red Sox. It looks like Contreras is back out there. A little bit surprising. The graphic on here showed Underwood was in there, but it looks like Contreras is still in there. 1-1 is the count now. Guardians still up 2-0 on the Yankees. Washington still in front with the bases loaded for the Cubs in the top of the 6th. 1-0 there. Braves 3-0 over Miami. And Tampa Bay, our game we're watching right now, 3-1 advantage over the Pirates. 3-1 now. Contreras still missing with his command. Looks like the Orioles just tied it up 3-3. That one's hard hit by Ramirez. Admires that one and gives a mighty bat flip, and that one's gone. Maybe they should have gone with Underwood there, but it's now a 4-1 advantage. And that's the one change that we've seen out of this Rays team this year, is their power numbers are significantly higher than they have been in recent memory. 105.8 off the bat, 27-degree launch angle, and 430 feet off the bat. Pretty much to dead center, just a little bit to the left of dead center. Just absolutely cranked. Contreras knew it, put his hands on his knees after that. Paredes is up next. Takes high, ball one. That one on the outer half. 1-1. Maybe they're trying to use this as a teaching moment for Contreras. Trying to show him how, even though you don't have your best stuff today, try to give your team some length. Maybe that's the name of the game for this teaching moment for Contreras. This season is all about growth for the Pittsburgh Pirates. You're not exactly expected to be in the World Series, so try to push your team to do more than what they've done in the past. Maybe that's what they're seeing here out of Contreras. They do still have the bullpen going. And instead of it being Underwood, it is Murrieta. That one was all the way in on the hip of the batter, and he still swung at it and fouled it off. 1-2. Murrieta, I guess, is the guy in the bullpen, as I butcher the name, I'm sure. Another hard hit ball, this one down the third base line, and it remains 1-2. Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay entered the day with the best records in Major League Baseball in the American League and National League, respectively. That one bounces in there. 2-2. I don't think anybody's got money on them finishing with the best records in either league. But the Rays certainly did their part to give you a run for your money if you did. This one's lifted out to right, just a step over is Joe and makes the catch. 108. Contreras up to 99 pitches. And they do go to the bullpen now. I think this whole half inning has been about getting Contreras to go a little bit deeper into the game than he had in the past, or than what he may have been thought he was able to do. Gave up the home run, so maybe it's not necessarily about results right now for Pittsburgh, allowing him to go a little further in this one. But we do have a pitching change. It's now 4-1 Rays on top. Check in one more time on some of those standings. Check in and see if there's any other surprises we see. The American League, as we mentioned, Tampa Bay got off to that great start, 23-6. 103 run differential. Better than 75 or 78 runs higher than the next best team in that division, the Baltimore Orioles. They've been very good. But Baltimore, of course, coming back right now against Kansas City. They've tied it at 3. Toronto's gotten off to a nice start. Would like to see their pitching staff rebound even further than what they've already done. They had a horrible year last year. They brought in Chris Bassett, but I'd really like to see their lineup continue to try to produce the runs they did last year. With the changes they've made on their offense, they should be a little bit more consistent. Right-left mix, etc. Last year they were very right-handed. They needed to bring in some left-handed bats, and that's what they did, bringing in Varsho. Sending out Teoscar Hernandez to the Seattle Mariners. He's one of the free agents out there that I think could make a splash if he's able to produce in Seattle. But so far, it's kind of been a mixed bag for him there. As we see Boston narrow the gap just a little bit, 6-3. Wow. They're showing a replay of another balk, if you will, against the Pittsburgh Pirates, against the St. Louis Cardinals. Yadi Molina basically talking to the umpire after he was thrown out at second, after he said, hey, that was a clear balk. And it was a little bit mystifying, but you can see kind of the apprehension Derek Shelton has for the Pirates there, how it's been used against him in both ways, both at the plate when it's not called, and on the mound when it is called after the fact. So he can understand why Shelton was so upset about that one, I guess, on second thought. But the umpires were very lenient with him, letting him use a few expletives as he got off the field. This one's another hard hit ball down the third base line and off the ankle of one of the relievers down there. It's like Contreras showing his emotion in the dugout a little bit, upset with the home run, I guess, with that one. He did a good performance, though, for them. Got through 5 1/3. There's a strikeout there for Morita. Manny Margot up next. Reached base safely both times he's been up so far today. Morita so far in the year, 11 games, 1-0 record, 3.86 earned run average, and 11 2/3 innings, 16 strikeouts to 10 walks. Has given up a couple of home runs. Looks like the Braves have extended their advantage now 4-0, as you can see on our screen right here. Swing and a miss. 0-2 now on Margot. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Jose Siri would be next, should Margot reach once again. The pitch swung on and missed. His elbow protector came off in the middle of that swing. It just went ping! But as it stands, Contreras still upset in the dugout for giving up that home run. I mean, young pitchers, you got to learn to give that length, but you also have to be able to make sure that you're not letting your emotions rule yourself. I mean, he did a good job of managing his emotions, it looked like, on the mound. It looks like he's letting his emotions get the better of him in the dugout right now. So maybe there's a teaching moment there for the pitching coach. I mean, the pitching coach was very animated with him on the mound to try to get his emotions under control, I guess, earlier. Maybe that's just what he responds to at this point in his development. But we shall see. Check. A little bit of movement anyway. The Diamondbacks have gotten out to a 3-1 now advantage over Texas. Looks like another sac fly. Ketel Marte drove home another run. As Jonah Heim strikes out swinging there. In either event, looks like we're just about back from commercial break. It'll be 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup for the Pirates. Curious to see what the Rays decide to do with their pitching staff here. If they try to get another inning out of Thompson, I would not. Or if they go a different direction, I certainly would choose that route. I would try to go to my setup guys at this point if I'm the Rays. Now this bullpen, I'm sure, doesn't have a whole lot of rolls back there. They never really have over the last 10 years. But arms that you trust, I'd imagine they're going to go with. Looks like they do have a pitching change. Looks like it's going to be Beeks is on. First one misses. North of the zone. Pitch clock making these relievers work a lot faster. Jalen Beeks, 10 games, 7.43 earned run average. A little bit surprising that they're going this direction. But maybe they want the left-handed arm here more than anything else. 1-1. This one bounces in the batter's box, and it's now 2-1. If you guys are new here to the Upside, we cover Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, and the NHL. Florida Panthers and Toronto Maple Leafs getting started in Game 1 of their second-round Stanley Cup playoff series. Check swing there as he went around is Brian Reynolds. That throw was well north of the zone. Pitch was well north of the zone, and it's now 2-2. The late game tonight is going to be my Dallas Stars going up against the Seattle Kraken. Sounds like Joe Pavelski could be back in the lineup for the Stars. The 2-2. Popped foul and we'll do it again. Looks like the Cubs have tied it against the Nationals 1-1. Braves have extended their lead once again 5-0 now over the Marlins. Looks like that one's in the bag now. The 2-2. Right at the bottom of the zone, just beneath the zone though, according to the home plate umpire. Looks like the Yankees have now tied it in the bottom of the 6th against the Guardians. 2-2. That one well inside, and that's ball 4. Brian Reynolds walks for the second time today. His third time on base overall. Batting average for him is now up to .324. You can see why Pittsburgh didn't really want to trade him. I mean, he's very good at getting on base and scoring runs, driving in things for them. Really is kind of a fire starter for them. But Hayes and Reynolds at the top of that lineup looks to be a combination they're going to stick with for a while. McCutchen is up and grounds this one to third. On to second. They retire Reynolds. McCutchen easily safe at first. But they do get the force on Reynolds. One away now in the in the top of the 7th. Carlos Santana digging in. Switch hitter. From the right-handed box right now. Strike one at the top of the zone, and this one now misses beneath the zone, and it's 1-1. Looks like Boston's carving back into that lead even further. Now 6-5. That one bounces in there as Betancourt bluffs a throw to first. 1-1. Santana is 0 for 2 on the day. Does have the only RBI in the game for Pittsburgh. This one's grounded slowly to second. McCutchen will get there safely. Santana is easily retired though at first. Another runner in scoring position for yet another inning for the Pirates. We'll see if they can scratch across another run. Braves just did once again. It's now a 6-0 game against the Marlins. Tomorrow's game between the Pirates and Rays will have Mitch Keller against Shane McClanahan. Both are undefeated for their teams. In the finale, it will be Vince Velasquez against Zach Eflin, 2 former Philadelphia Phillies, going head-to-head in that one. That one's north of the zone once again. 1-0. This one's tapped foul down the first base line, 1-1. White Sox have taken the lead against the Twins now 2-1. Going to the bottom of the 7th. It looked like. Two and one now on Sawinski. He does kind of hold that ball really close to his ear and then kind of fire it all in one motion. If you guys have seen Rookie of the Year, the baseball movie from my childhood anyway, kind of throws it a lot like Henry Rowan-Gardner. Nice bounding ball there. Sawinski looked like he was safe to my eyes, but they call him out on the play. That was close. Are they going to review it? Doesn't look like it. That was a very nice play by their second baseman to get that ball there in time. Welcome in, B. Thank you for live streaming the game, bud. Bucko fan here. Appreciate it. We're trying to cover a lot more Major League Baseball this year than we have last year. We just started this channel about a year and a half ago now, And we started with NFL and then covered quite a bit of baseball last year. But this year we're going to cover quite a bit more. Just looking at the next month's worth of games, we're going to try to do quite a few of them. Today is what, the 2nd? Depending on how quickly I get out of work, we might do the Guardians-Yankees early game, and then the Seattle-Oakland nightcap, depending on how quickly that Yankee game ends and how my voice holds up. Some of the times when we do these double headers, the voice can go away, so got to be careful there. Trying to get back into this format. Thursday we'll be taking the night off. There's not really a late game after I get out of work, so we'll be taking the 4th off. May the 4th be with you, for those of you who are Star Wars fans. And then big series for the Seattle Mariners against the Houston Astros begins Friday. We'll cover that one on Friday evening for you guys. Seattle really needs to show that they can hold their own water with Robbie Ray going down due to injury and having Houston come into town. They got to show that they can at least hold home court or home field advantage there to at least stay relevant in the division. Otherwise, things could move very quickly for them in the negative direction. I mean, they're already without Robbie Ray. You got to be able to hold right now, because if you start falling 10 games back or 10 games under 500, I mean, if you get swept at home by Houston, which in all likelihood could happen, especially with the issues they've had to start the season, not to mention, or not even including the Robbie Ray injury, things could get away from them rather quickly. So we'll have that one for you Friday night. Happy birthday. Happy early birthday. Looks like we are back for the bottom of the 7th. Morita on for his 2nd inning of work, if you will. Got the final 2 outs in the 6th, and probably will be asked to get the 3 outs here in the 7th. It's going to be 9, 1, and 2 for the Rays. That one's north of the zone, up and in, 1 and 1. But Saturday, get out a little earlier, so we'll try to do a doubleheader if possible. So the first game will have to move very quickly. I doubt it will, but we're going to try to do the Baltimore and Atlanta game. That should be a very fun series. 2 of the better teams in the American League and National League. That one looks like it bounced foul. Joe made a nice try at it, but it'll be a 1-2 count now on Jose Siri. If that had been called fair, he probably is standing on third with a triple. Looking at the replay, it was fouled by about that much. That's how far it was fouled. But we'll try to do that Baltimore-Atlanta game, and if that game ends quickly, we'll try to do the Houston and Seattle game, but that'll only be like an hour 55 between the start times, or scheduled start times for both. And Baltimore and Atlanta are 2 of the better offenses in the league, so I don't imagine it's going to be a quick game. So Siri grounds this one. Routine ground ball to Castro, the shortstop, and he is retired for the first out of the bottom of the 7th. Sunday, we're going to try to do at least a couple of games for you. We'll try to do the early game. That's going to be a 10:35 start on the 7th, Baltimore and Atlanta. And then Houston-Seattle is going to be 3:10. And then Sunday Night Baseball, the Dodgers versus the Padres. Dodgers and Padres play each other quite a bit over the next week to 10 days, so keep your eyes peeled for what happens in that NL West division. You expected more from your Pirates today? I would have said so too. I mean, they've had their opportunities. You can't say they haven't. They just haven't driven in the runs when they've had the opportunity. I mean, all the different runners in scoring position, all the different walks in the game, they just haven't been able to capitalize on it. The Rays were able to bide their time and finally were able to. You could even argue the one run the Pirates did score should be taken off the board, because I still don't think he had touched home plate at all. They went to replay on it and they said that the call stands, but I didn't see any angle where it showed that he got his knee anywhere closer than 6 inches to home plate. The 3-0 is right at the knees, right down the middle. 3-1. Yandy Diaz has reached base safely twice. Again, a couple of walks. Both teams have struggled with the strike zone today. That one right on the outside corner, 3-2. Not sure if that's where Morita wanted it to go, but dotted it up anyway. Looks like they were looking low, and he went up. That one bounces in front of home plate, and that'll be ball 4. So for the third time in the game, Diaz is reached due to a walk. Do you guys think that was a balk earlier in the game? I would probably. I don't necessarily think it was. I don't necessarily think it was clean. So I guess if I had to lean one direction or the other, I'd probably say it was a balk. But in either event, it would have only scratched across one run. And then I still don't understand why Hedges was still batting at that point. He had showed you he made a defensive goof in the half inning prior, which allowed a run to score. He's in there primarily for his defense, and that's the area that he struggled with at that moment. I would have brought in a bat, especially with 2 on in scoring position with less than 2 outs. You've struggled with it all day. I would have brought in somebody off the bench, but I think that was the opportunity for the Pirates to really get into the game. And then, of course, the home run given up by Contreras made it a 4-1 advantage. And I think we've pretty much seen the best the Pirates are going to be able to provide in this game. That one misses well inside, 2-1. Orioles have now taken a big lead, 7-3 over the Royals. I think we all expected that, but struggled out of the gate. But looks like they've gotten things corrected for them. That one well outside again. More control issues for pitching here in the game. 3-1. Let me just add up all the walks. The Rays have been walked a total of 5 times, about to be 6 it looks like. Pirates have been walked a total of 6 times, and that one is north of the zone, so 6 times each side has been walked. So just not exactly what you want to see out of your pitching staff for either team in this game. Not exactly something you put on the montage of best pitched game ever. In case you guys missed the big news, Bryce Harper is expected back tonight from Tommy John surgery. He is going to be the designated hitter early here in the year. I imagine he probably plays a little bit of first base with Rhys Hoskins out for the year, it looks like. So we'll see how he performs. Looks like we're getting a pitching chain, or at least another mound visit here, excuse me. A little less animated this time as their pitching coach. B, you're going to have to answer a question for me. I'm just wondering, is their pitching coach always as animated as the first time we saw him go out to the mound with Contreras? Is he always that animated when he goes out there? Looks like he was doing fire and brimstone for Contreras out there earlier. This time a lot more muted. Looks like they were more doing it for defensive reasonings. He's already up to 22 pitches now. Runners on first and second. Rosarania takes a strike at the knees, 0-1. Randy Rosarania always lives for the big moment. This is another big moment to really blow the game open. This one's jammed off the fist to second, flips, and oh wow, they still convert the double play. Kind of a double clutch, had to wait for the ground out there, or wait for the runner to kind of go past him, and still got the runner at first. I wonder if Rosarania was just kind of lollipopping it down to first base on that one, because he probably could have beaten it out. So he's not that animated? Okay. I was wondering, because he was out there, looked like he was raising fire and brimstone, you know? Maybe he was just trying to fire up Contreras, but whatever the job, he got it done, I guess. But, I don't know. I've never seen a pitching coach be that animated, ever. Unless they took over for the manager when we were getting thrown out. I'll put it that way. Seen that a few times back when I was a kid watching Braves games, Yankees games back in the day, when those games were pretty much televised every single day. Braves I understood because they had the contract with TBS. Cubs I understood because they had the contract with WGN at the time. Yankees had their Yes Network, but they were still nationally televised almost every single game because they're the Yankees, because they were on ESPN or Fox or Sunday Night Baseball, Monday Night Baseball, Wednesday Night Baseball, whatever the case may be. Let's check in on some of the scores from around baseball right now. 4-1 in the game we're watching. Two of the best teams by record in Major League Baseball right now. Rays 4, Pirates 1. We mentioned the Braves had stretched their lead out to 6-0 now against Miami. Cubs had tied it 1-1 in the 7th. Yankees had tied it 2-2 as they go to the bottom of the 7th there. And it looks like Boston just tied it up against the Toronto Blue Jays. Again, more pitching question marks for the Blue Jays. We had a lot of question marks last year about them because of the poor performance. Bringing in Chris Bassett, you thought maybe they were a little bit better. The trade they made to bring in Swanson, sending out Teoscar Hernandez was a little bit questionable decision at that time. Bullpen, as I mentioned, are mercurial. 1 year they're good, 1 year they're bad, and Swanson hadn't really shown that he was an elite level, bullpen guy. I mean, sure, 2 and change ERA was great for 1 year, but a year before he had a 5 and change ERA. 1 year's great, 1 year's bad. It just seems to go that way. Very cyclical for bullpen arms. Looks like the Twins have tied it up now 2-2 in the top of the 8th against the White Sox. We mentioned the Orioles had stretched their advantage now to 7-3 over the Royals. The Angels 4-0 over the Cardinals. Cardinals really need a win. I mean, in the worst way. They got 2 on in scoring position with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th against the Angels. Looks like Kevin Kelly is going to be coming on for the Rays. 2-0 in 10 games, 3.94 ERA, 16 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts to 3 walks. Has not given up a home run. Diamondbacks, meanwhile, have stretched their advantage to 4-1. Over the Rangers. Giants still 1-0 over the Astros. Looks like the rest of the games are just about to get underway. Joe takes a strike right down Broadway. Appreciate you guys sticking with us today. Connor Joe had a couple of doubles down the left field line. Has also stolen a base. He stole third base, actually. Raised his average up to 301. He's got 4 home runs on the year. Suffice to say, if he keeps these numbers up the whole year, this will certainly be a career year for him. Just off the outside corner, 1-2 now. Looks like the Nationals have just taken the lead, 2-1, while the Giants have taken a 2-1 or 2-0 advantage over the Astros. That one well outside, and it's now 2-2. Wonder if they're going to go with a 2-inning save here for Kelly. Remember, he has 10 games with 16 innings pitched, so I wonder if they're going to go with a 2-inning save for him. Another one hard hit down the left field line, and this one is just foul. Looks like he almost had another double. Connor Joe playing well today. Looks like the Cardinals do indeed score a run. It's now 4-1. Well, they get back in their places. Joe had to get his bat all over again and get ready. That one's beneath the zone. Umpire shakes his head no, that was low. And this one a little bit higher, swung on and missed. Joe strikes out for the first out of the inning. Looks like he was looking for a different pitch other than what he got. Very late on that one. And it'll be Castro next. 0 for 2 in the game. Remember, he got hit by Thompson last half inning. Or, excuse me, back in the 6th, if you will. Randy Arozarena signing autographs in between at-bats. Or, no, that was in between innings. Okay. They were waiting for Wander Franco in between innings. And there was a young fan down the left field line that he went over and signed some gear for. That was nice of him. 1-1 now as that one finds the zone. Fouled off his foot. Castro's taking a little bit of a beating here today. Foul balls off his foot. Took one off of his thigh. That one looks like he took it off the inside of the knee. Ouch. If you've never been hit on the inside of the knee, don't try it. This one's lifted in the air between short and third. Both players are there. The third baseman makes the catch. He says, hey, go. Franco says, go in your spot. You took my ball. Reminded me a little bit of Beltre and Andrews back in the day for those of you who are Rangers fans. It's always fun watching them compete defensively. Looks like the Giants are trying to add more. Runners on second and third, still alive in the inning. Brewers and Rockies are underway and scoreless. Now, Marcano, who came up as a pinch hitter last time, had a sacrifice bunt back in the sixth to put runners in second and third. And he grounds out back up the middle. And that's the third out of the inning. We go to the bottom half of the eighth. Our score 4-1. Rays in front. Now, as I mentioned before the start of the broadcast anyway, that the Pittsburgh Pirates have really turned it on as of late. I think they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Meanwhile, the Rays got off to that great start and are kind of back to middle of the pack as far as production, both offensively and with their pitching staff. Curious to see how the rest of the year goes for both teams. I think Pittsburgh very happy with their start, but I think both teams know Pittsburgh's playing a little bit above their skis right now. It will come back a little bit to the pack. Now, could they still finish above 500? Absolutely. But I think this year is a lot more about growth of both the hitters, their young hitters on this team, getting more of their top-end young players up to the major league level later on this year, getting their starting pitching to be a little bit more consistent. I think that's what we saw with Contreras today, was to try to push himself a little bit further, deeper into the game when he may not have his best stuff, and try to give his team, a couple more outs and try to grow from that experience. And at the same time, also be able to manage his emotions a little bit. We saw that in the fourth inning when they had that mound visit out there, when I mentioned how the pitching coach got, fire and brimstone out for his pitching or for his pitcher to try to get his emotions back into check, to stop with the deflated body posture and those kinds of things. One of the most animated times I've ever seen a pitching coach, especially for a mound visit. That's by far the most animated mound visit I've ever seen. But we've seen pitching coaches get thrown out before because of when they take over for a manager, or they're thrown out because of arguing balls and strikes. But to try to pump up his own pitcher, that's certainly the most animated I've ever seen a pitching coach. And then as far as the team as a whole, Contreras gave up the home run, got one more out, goes to the dugout, and then you see the young, emotional side of the pitcher once again, just struggling to deal with the bad breaks that he got in the game, or in that half inning to give up that home run. But it's still a learning experience for this Pittsburgh Pirates team. On the other side of the coin, the Rays, they're trying to get back to their winning ways that they had at the very beginning of the season. They're still playing very well, don't get me wrong, but they're not playing at the same level they were against teams like Oakland and some of the more doormat-type teams in the league. But they're back, it looks like, in the win column today. And they're still a very good team. They should still be a very good threat in the American League. But I still think there's a number of other teams that are going to have a little bit tougher. They're going to put on a little bit tougher fight than, say, the Rays will this year. There we go. Had to switch broadcast. Looks like the Pirates feed was getting interrupted on MLB TV. We have one away on a bang-bang play at first base. Looks like Marcano put him away. Lau is not having a good day at the plate for the Rays. Not having a good year so far, aside from power. He is now 0 for 4 on the day. His average drops to 222. Wonder if they're going to change up the batting or the lineup a little bit with Lowe struggling to make contact. Ramirez takes a strike there, and it's 1-1. Remember, he has a single, a home run. He's also got a couple RBIs, and he stole a base last time he reached. Ramirez is out of the bullpen. Johan Ramirez, anyway, for the Pirates. 3.0 earned run average in 4 games. 7 strikeouts to 4 walks. He has given up a home run, but again, this is about learning for the young Pirates roster. Trying to get some of these young pieces in that bullpen some experience. As we see the Nationals jump out to a 5-1 advantage now on the Cubs. So all is not lost if you're a Pirates fan. At least the Cubs look like they're on their way to a loss. And what do you know? Yet another walk. That pitch not very competitive. 13 walks in the game so far today. Just absolutely atrocious for both sides. I'm sure that's one thing the pitching coach is going to have a word with both sides, or both pitchers, both pitching staffs anyway, seeing if they can throw some more strikes. In that first round playoff series, I mentioned Florida and Toronto got started today. Game 1 is in Toronto. It's 3-2 right now with Florida in front. Looks like Tampa is going to go with a different pitcher, though, in the 9th. That will be Jason Adam, it looks like, is loosening in the bullpen. This one is tapped foul, and it's 1-1 to Paredes. The pitch. Up and in, almost grazed his hand. We've seen a lot of hit batters this year, a lot of hit batters on the hands. Some have had, major injuries so far this year, but we've seen so many of them this year. A lot of batters are crowding the plate a little bit more than usual, but I think it's just a matter of pitchers just being a little bit more erratic this year. This one's pounded into the dirt again, foul, 2-2. But you'd like to see them avoid some of those tiny bones in the hand or avoid hitting them in the jaw. We saw the Rangers' Josh Smith, I think, has already been hit by like 6 balls this year, maybe 7. There's a number of hitters out there that have taken, that have missed some time already due to hit by pitches. This one's grounded up the middle. This one's kind of fumbled by Castro, and they're saying that out at second, but he was safe at first. I'm not sure if either one of I think Ramirez was indeed out, but kind of a mystifying play there by Castro. Looks like it caught him on the heel of the glove, spun off. Nice to be able to at least still get the one out. The throw on to first. Looks like he did beat it, so these umpires are good at what they do. I don't have a dog in the fight in this one between the Pirates and Rays, but you gotta admire the umpires that they take all the guff, and sure they're going to miss some calls here and there, but they do a pretty good job on the regular. That one misses outside. 1-0. Bethancourt 0 for 3 in the game. Starting catcher for them today. Struck out twice so far. The 1-0 is now a 2-0. Last thing you want to see right now if you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan is another walk. I mean, that's kind of been the problem both offensively and defensively. Offense, you can't drive them in, and defensively, you can't stop them. Swung on and missed. It's now 2-1 to Bethancourt. 238 hitter this year. Not exactly known for his offensive prowess. This one's off the end of the bat, flown out to deep right at the wall, or just in front of the wall, making a kind of a tiny bunny hop to make the catch is Connor Joe. and that's the third out of the inning. We go to the top of the ninth. It will be Jason Adam coming on for the Tampa Bay Rays. Bucks have gotten off to a nice start this year, 20-9. Rays 23-6, the two best records in all of baseball, going head-to-head here. And the Pirates have certainly got their work cut out for them. Looks like it's going to be Austin Hedges leading things off in the ninth. I'd imagine they'd pinch hit for him. He's only hitting 143. As far as their options, looking at their bench, Andujar, Bay, and DeLay, I think all three of those guys are better options than having Austin Hedges hit, but I would have already pinch hit here once. Brought in either Andujar or Bay to pinch hit. Checking in on some of the scores from around Major League Baseball. 4-1 here. Braves are up 6-0 with 2 outs away from securing the victory against the Marlins. As we mentioned, the Nationals have gotten ahead of the Cubs 4-1. Yankees have now taken the lead against the Guardians 3-2. Good on them, especially without Aaron Judge right now. Boston has stormed back and tied it 6-6. They had a 3-0 lead originally, then 6 runs in the fifth for the Blue Jays. They have now coughed that lead up once again. 6-6 is the score there. We mentioned the Twins had tied it up against the White Sox. It's now in the top of the ninth, 2 away. Twins are tied with the White Sox 2-2. And the Orioles just tacked on another run. It's now 8-3. The Cardinals, we mentioned, tacked on 1 run, so now it's not a shutout anymore. It's now 4-1. Angels in front. Diamondbacks still in front of the Rangers, 4-1. And the Giants 2-0 over the Astros. Looks like the Giants have gotten another runner on base. Looks like they're having a decent day offensively against a good pitching Astros team. 0-0 across the scoreboard the rest of the way. 11 games this year for Jason Adam, a 1.74 earned run average, an 0.97 whip, 10 strikeouts to 4 walks. He has given up 1 home run. Looks like the Orioles have once again added another run. It's now a 9-3 game there. They do go the pinch hit way. They go with Ji-hwan Bae, 250 average in 27 games, couple home runs and 9 RBIs. So we'll see if they're able to get something going here. Takes ball 1 outside and then a strike right down the middle, 1-1. Austin Hedges had a little bit of a mixed bag today. Didn't have a great day at the plate, but did work a walk. Defensively, he coughed up a run in my estimation by throwing down to second and then immediately realizing his mistake, where you saw his eyes get this big around after the second after he released the ball, allowing Margot to go home. I believe it was Margot, but in either event, a run scored on it. It is a save situation here for Adam. 2-1 now the count. Swung on and missed. Nice pitch on the outer half of the plate. They scroll across some of the numbers. The Rays have 123 extra base hits. That's the most in Major League Baseball. They have 10 players with over 4 home runs. Also the best in Major League Baseball. Off-speed pitch completely locks up Bay on that one, and he is the first out of the inning. Ouch. Rockies take the lead now against the Brewers, 1-0. That was a pretty good off-speed pitch. The Rays starters this year got off to that great start. 3.22 earned run average is the best in Major League Baseball, but they've certainly had their struggles over the last couple of weeks. We'll see if they're able to get things back in order. Brian Hayes scored the only mystifying run of the game. A run I'm still not sure he touched home plate, but in either event, it's 4-1. Takes a strike at the letters, 1-1. Pirates down to their final 2 outs. The 1-1. Curveball well outside. The game started with Javi Baez taking the ball for his debut with the Rays after a trade from the Brewers, and he did not get out of the first. Josh Fleming had to come in and lock it down. He had to leave the game early after taking a ball from Ke'Bryan Hayes off of his ankle, and he had to leave the game. Looks like the Angels have scratched across another run, 5-1 there. Foul tip there by Hayes, and it's now 2-2. Catcher walking off that foul tip. Pirates just hoping to get some runners on base now ahead of their center of their line, or over the heart of their lineup anyway. Reason why the Pirates are off to such a great start: they have 18 quality starts this year. That's the best in all of Major League Baseball. Pitching was the question coming into the season for them, if they would have enough to be able to stay afloat, and they certainly have performed well so far. The question still remains, though, will it last for 162? Is this the growth that we were hoping for from the Pirates? Or is this a mirage, if you will? Brian Reynolds waits on deck. The 3-2 completely locks up Hayes right on the inside corner, pure paint. Hayes goes back to the dugout muttering to himself, "Come on, man." I mean, it caught the corner. You can't take a pitch that close. I get that the umpires called a whole bunch of walks today, but I mean, it's 3-2. It's in the ninth. You got a 3-run deficit. Umpires are only human. Sometimes if it's an inch inside, they're going to call it a strike anyway. That one was right on the corner, so yeah. Umpire was right all the way on that one. That one misses outside, and it's 1-0. Reynolds batting from the left side for the first time in the game. Couple of walks and had a double. The 1-0 here to Reynolds. Laced back up over shortstop and into center. And the Pirates have something cooking here at least, with 2 outs here in the ninth. Andrew McCutchen, the DH, kind of hurt himself in his first plate appearance, but has stayed in the game since. Looked like he trying to torque his hip a little bit when he was trying to bend out of the way of a ball inside, and had the trainer come out and look at him, but he decided to stay in the game. Good on him. But he's reached base safe twice today, but needs to reach base yet again here to keep this game going for the Pirates. That one well inside, and it's 1-0. McCutchen, a .250 hitter this year, 5 homers, 14 RBIs. Pirates have certainly had their opportunities to get in front in this game and just haven't been able to cash in when runners get into scoring position. There's a strike right at the top of the zone, 1-1. Swung on and missed. 1-2 now. Pirates down to their final strike. Oof. Just pure cheddar. McCutchen couldn't quite catch up with it. Nice pitch, though. That one misses well outside of the zone. Trying to see if he could get him to chase, but that was not a competitive pitch. It's now 2-2. Carlos Santana waits on deck. The set by Adam. And the pitch. Swing and a miss, and McCutchen goes down swinging. That is the ball game. Rays take it. They go to 24-6. Pirates drop to 20-10. Still 2 of the best records in all of baseball. Very good game overall. But Pirates certainly had their opportunities and just couldn't cash in. Meanwhile, the Rays waited and finally got their opportunity, and they did not miss. They take it 4-1. Overall, hopefully Josh Fleming, the pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays, is okay. There was an opener, Javi Guerra, but the long man today, the starter, quote-unquote, was Josh Fleming in all reality. But he took a ball right off the ankle. Hopefully he is okay, and the x-rays and MRIs come back clean. But Pirates still got a ways to go as far as getting some of their young guys to perform a little bit better in my estimation. But they performed well to start the season. They tried to get Contreras to go a little bit deeper into the game today when he clearly did not have his best stuff, struggled finding the zone, struggled with his location on multiple occasions that allowed the advantage to go to the Rays a couple of different times. And then they tried to bring him back out for one extra inning and immediately gave up a home run. You saw his composure kind of lost it in the dugout after he was pulled from the game. Overall, Pirates have had a good start to their season, but it's going to be a mixed bag the rest of the way. So for Pirates fans out there, don't expect to go to the World Series, but I'm not saying that you're going to be in the cellar of the division either. I'm saying this is a good start to your season, and hopefully you can finish somewhere around 500. I think would be a successful season for you guys. And then continuing to have that starting pitching perform better and better and better. They performed well so far this year. I don't think it's sustainable, much like the Rangers have gotten off to a great start offensively. I don't think that's sustainable. But kind of take everything with a grain of salt. There's some things that are good, showing signs of growth for the Pirates. Getting the extension done for Brian Reynolds, absolutely vital for this organization. The question will be, will their pitching be able to hold up, and will they have enough pitching going forward to be able to contend, maybe not this year, but next year. So we'll see how the future of the Pittsburgh Pirates holds. For the Rays, what can you say? I mean, they've had a great start to their season, faltered a little bit, but looks like they're starting to find their footing. Hopefully Fleming avoids major injury, but their lineup certainly has produced so far this year. We'll see if they continue to produce the clip that they've done so far. But I think this team is playing a little bit above their skis as well, much like the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are starting to come back to the pack a little bit. I mean, the Baltimore Orioles, I think they've found out a system that's going to work for them going forward, and it's only going to get better for the Orioles. I think they're going to pass the Rays by at some point this year. I didn't think it would happen this early, but I think the Orioles are at least going to be right there with them as far as talent, and the way they're playing the game right now is on another level from what they've been doing in years past. But they still are probably a year away from really being where we would consider them to be an American League contender for the next decade. So kind of keep your eyes peeled for what happens there. Looks like the Yankees have extended their lead. Good on them without Aaron Judge to try to continue to put up competitive performances. And that starting rotation's got to continue to provide. They've got to be able to stay healthy. And we'll see if they can continue to put up zeros for that Yankees team, because they're going to need that rotation to go deeper into games because that offense has not performed well. And then, of course, the last team in that division I haven't mentioned is the Toronto Blue Jays. We saw their pitching is still having up and down performances. I'm not going to worry about the Boston Red Sox. They're playing above their skis, but that's about 500 ball. I think they're probably going to win about 70, 75 games this year. But they've played decent ball, but they're without Trevor Story. They don't have Xander Bogaerts anymore. And this is a team that's kind of in transition. And so we'll see if they're able to, maybe at the trade deadline, parlay off some of their pieces, like a guy like Kenley Jansen they brought in this offseason to try to bring in some bigger pieces for their future. I'll put it that way. But the Rays look like they're off to a decent start, but I think they're going to start to come back, as I mentioned. But overall, a good game, 4-1. Rays take the game. Again, we got some hockey tonight. Last I saw, the Florida Panthers were in front, 3-2 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll check in on the end of that game if it's not already over. And then, of course, Game 1, Seattle Kraken versus the Dallas Stars is about to get underway. Go Stars! I am a Stars fan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the game tonight, and stay with us tomorrow. We will have either the Cleveland Guardians and New York Yankees game, if I'm able to get off early enough, at 6:05. If I'm not, we'll have the late game, Seattle versus Oakland, at 8:40. Thank you guys for joining us. Hit that subscribe and like button. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for all the support, and we'll see you guys next time.